bless the United States. JC, POC.
What's up, gang? Hit that like button. What do you say? And we are live once again. Thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to spend it with me here to go over some of the news, some of the craziness that's been going on. We got a lot to talk about today. Much appreciate you guys again for everybody that supports this channel. Multiple ways in which you could do so. But as everybody filters in, what do you say? We say hi to the chat before I bore you with the housekeeping. What's going on, chat? How's everybody doing? There you are. What's happening? You deserve some screen time as well. Yeah, I know. Lots to talk about. A lot of craziness here. What's going on, Laurie? What's up, William? What's up, Damon? What's going on, M2M? Appreciate you. What's up, JJ? Just Julie, that was. I just made up a new nickname for Just Julie. I don't know why that came out. I'm a big nickname guy. What's up, Zircon? What's up, Stogmas? How are you? What's up, Gamer? Patui? Appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that like button. Frisky, what's happening? I see you, Twiggy, over there on Twitch. You can't hide from me. You can't hide from me. Thank you, Roxanne, for listening. Much appreciated. What's going on, Vern? Hit that like button on the way in. Hey, Jackie, what's going on, guys? What's up, Jay? What's up, Nance? Hey, Catherine. Filter in. Welcome in, one and all. Hit that like button as you come in, if you could. It's free to do so. Doesn't cost you a dime. Really takes about 0.2 seconds. It'd be fantastic if you could do so. Even subscribe. That's free as well. And if you got Amazon Prime, you can subscribe to us on Twitch as well. Doesn't cost you a dime to do so over there. Thank you to Facebook. Thank you to YouTube. Thank you to Instagram, Twitch, and Substack. Everybody that's watching, no matter where you're watching, hit the thumbs up, the like, drop a comment wherever you can. A bunch of stuff that we're going to be talking about today. It is July 9th, 2026, just to make sure everybody aware of what day it is. What's going on, Nick? What's happening, brother? Good to see you. What's up, Abby? Welcome back. What's up, Flipper? Hi, Elaine. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Andrew, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about today. I'm going to try to fill everybody in on what was going on last night and continues to be ongoing, something that I think we're not, to see the end of anytime soon as far as the ongoing bombings, missile attacks, drone attacks by the United States against Iran and Iran against the United States and the Gulf nations. So that's one of the things we'll be taking a look at is what happened last night, the amount of targets that were hit by the United States, the retaliations by Iran. We're not going to go through the entirety of the night, but just kind of get everybody filled in on what's been going on and what to expect. I believe something that that with the dissolving of the MOU, with the the eradication of the ceasefire, let's just say, kind of only leaves one option. I don't see what the end goal is here. I don't see what the off ramp is once again. And as we continue to see our strategic reserve down at critical levels, Donald Trump forced to admit this not that long ago. Just kind of what situation we would be seeing or would have been seeing. This is as he was trying to tout the MOU and tout peace and say everything was A-okay. Well, now we're back to bombing. Now the missiles are dropping again, right? The instability in the market, the strait being closed, what's happening with the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, Gulf nations being hit once again. So obviously the instability is back. Not that it ever really went away. So, we're going to have to keep an eye on what's taking place with the strategic reserve as well. I want to dive into a little bit of this Nolan Wells story. I don't know if you guys have been hearing anything about this on the news or on social media, but things just continue not to add up for me in that situation. I've been trying to interject it into a show for the last couple days, but we've had obviously so much to cover going on with Ukraine and the continued bombings and war between Iran and the United States. I just haven't found the time. But I think, with the new revelations coming out and what people are trying to say now and speculate now, it's still not making any sense to me. So we'll go over that too. We're going to be talking about how Donald Trump's ICE and DHS have now fatally shot their 10th victim So we'll be speaking about that story and his son speaking out about the type of person his father was, and then I believe the amount of people that have now died inside of ICE captivity or DHS captivity is also somewhere at around 50. I have an article here from AP, so don't quote me on that number. I think it's somewhere in that vicinity. So we'll be taking a look at that. Carl Higbie from Newsmax is on here basically saying our only option is to destroy Iran, much like Donald Trump said on True Social a bunch of times as far as, eliminating the civilization, the entire civilization of Iran. Well, I guess if it was up to Carl Higbie, Carl Shitby, as I call him on Newsmax, he'd have to just, he'd push that button. He'd wipe the entire place out in a heartbeat because that's how he thinks the only way that the United States is going to get out of this. After that, I want to speak a little bit about the security nightmare and the rumors surrounding Donald Trump's Qatari jet. A $400 million bribe that the United States citizens paid untold amounts of money to try to refurbish and refit, only to have it deemed not worthy for the president to fly on it in international flights, or if there's any sort of threat made against him, of course, which there always is. So again, something that Donald Trump's going to take with him. We spent billions of dollars trying to refit, and it still isn't ready to be used by the president of the United States by any stretch of the imagination. So there's a couple clips. I think the I've had it ladies, Jen and Pumps was speaking about this in a few other instances, I think with Donald Trump's NATO meeting as well. So I have that clip pulled up, a couple clips showing that Donald Trump not only struggled to get up the stairs, but down the stairs as well. What else we got? And then we're going to be talking about the incredible job the Ukrainians have been doing at taking out the Russian Shadow Fleet ships. I think we're up to about 35 ships in the last, I want to say 72-ish hours that the Ukrainians have managed to take out, which is, again, going to have real effects and impacts on the Russian fuel supply, especially down in Crimea, where they're really hurting. So all of that to get to and more. We got some Professor Gertis videos. We got, what's this one that I pulled up as well? We got the military show. I got a ton of stuff that we're going to get into as well. So much appreciated for joining me. Hopefully everybody filters in. As you do, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 25,000 subscribers. It's only with your help that we're going to be able to do that. Again, if you're new to the channel and you want to follow on my upcoming journey to Estonia, first I'll be in Amsterdam. From Amsterdam, I go to Estonia. From Estonia, we'll be driving through Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, into Poland. From there into Ukraine, all the way to Kyiv to hand over the vehicle that we were fortunate enough to raise in under 3 weeks for the 3rd Operational Battalion Artillery Platoon, fighting in the Lipsy direction, which is just north of Kharkiv. Again, I have the military show video that I pulled up is giving us a little insight into what's taking place in and around Kharkiv as well, and then we'll be getting into the Russian Shadow Fleet that's really been taking a pounding. But if you guys want to follow along on the journey, make sure that you follow us here on all our social media platforms. I'm sure we're going to be able to put out some short form content on Instagram, hopefully some shorts here on YouTube, hopefully some longer form content if I'm fortunate enough to get some interviews with people. I'd like to. My goal is to hopefully tag along with a brigade or with a battalion or with a group, if I can, further east to detail and to document exactly how people are living and what the reality on the ground is. That's not set in stone. But again, it's only because of you guys and your support of the channel that we get to do things like this. And hopefully, as we continue to grow as a channel and as a community, we can do more great things like this. And like I continue to say, it's an honor and a privilege to be able to represent you, not only in this mission, but in this fight, and to show that the people of the United States, or at least, the people of the blunt politics community and many others just like it that are part of these different fundraisers, absolutely will be supporting Ukraine to the very end. So thank you guys for, again, making that something that we can do, and follow along. Make sure you're subscribed. I know a lot of people watch the show. They think you're subscribed. You watch all the time, but just check to see if you are. Make sure that you are. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook and all of the other platforms that you can follow us on. That way you guys don't miss any of the trip. Hopefully I can bring you along for as much of the ride as humanly possible. After the show today, I'm going to be going to figure out a little bit of the camera equipment situation so I can make sure that I have all of the best for you guys to see what I see and to go through and to experience at least a little bit of what I get to experience there. So, all right, what do you say we dive into, again, just a general overview of what was going on last night? If anybody didn't get to catch the show, we went through in detail pretty much, kind of the U.S. strikes, obviously the retaliations by the Iranians, what was hit. I know Bahrain, I know Jordan, We're also targeted as well. So let's see if I can throw this on the screen for you guys, and we'll just kind of go over it. This is from the Hormuz letter, and this is just a statement being released about 13 hours ago in the midst of all this by CENTCOM, basically announcing that it hit 90 Iranian military targets in tonight's strikes on Iran. The U.S. strikes targeted, and listen to this, guys. Listen to this, and then ask me, and then figure out in your head, what question does this raise? Okay, listen to the targets and the things that they had to hit. They had to hit Iranian air defense systems. They had to hit Iranian coastal surveillance assets. They had to hit Iranian missile and Iranian drone storage sites. They had to hit Iranian naval capabilities. They had to hit Iranian military logistics infrastructure all along Iran's coastline. Now, what question would that beg? You know what I mean? What question would you then ask of, say, I don't know, Pete Hegseth or Donald Trump if you were in the media gaggle, the press gaggle around them? Well, I'd say, well, why do these things still exist? If you've been telling us for weeks and months now that these things have been long eradicated, long eliminated, don't exist anymore, they have no military power, they're not a military threat, don't have any radar, don't have any missile or drone capabilities, we're kind of struggling for targets at this point. Well, it seems like you got a shitload of targets that are operating and active. And can pose a threat to not only the Strait of Hormuz, but also the United States assets that are in the area. They continue to put these statements out that completely contradict everything that Donald Trump has been saying for months, and that Pete Hegseth has been saying for months, and Marco Rubio has been saying for months, and they just don't see it. And they obviously put it out with this propaganda video filled with their strike footage. And like I said, that was just a report from the Hormuz letter, but it was a statement made by CENTCOM last night. I just want to see if there's anything else that there was to kind of detail last night, because there was a lot happening. There was a lot going on. It says that today more than 20 U.S. Navy warships are patrolling the waters. That's from the other day. Let's see if there was anything else. According to the release, in most recent waves of strikes, Iran in response to the Iranian targeting of commercial shipping, 90 military targets, including military logistics, infrastructure, missiles and drone sites, air defense systems, surveillance installations, and unspecified naval targets were struck. It's amazing the amount of targets that they still have to list here. Let's see here if there was anything else from OSINT Defender as far as what's been taking place lately. There was also this that was reported since the start of the Iran war. A total of 30 U.S. Air Force MQ-9 Reapers have been shot down or downed by the Iranian air defenses at a cost of $30 million a pop. So you guys can do the math on that one and just see what it's costing us, and just in that one specific category as far as this war is concerned. Here's another ridiculous piece of news that I'm sure people have heard online this morning, where the Palm Beach County Airport, or whatever the fuck it's called, has now been renamed to the President Donald J. Trump International Airport. And it now becomes the only international airport in the world where everybody under 18 gets to fly for free, apparently, at Trump's airport. It's not my rules. He made the rules up there in that one. But let's see here if there was anything else. There was initial reports of sirens sounding at U.S. consulate in Erbil, northern Iraq. At least 5 Iranian ballistic missiles were launched from northwestern Iran towards the Muwafiq Salti air base in Jordan a short time ago. This is reported 7 hours ago, which is jointly operated by both the U.S. and Royal Jordanian Air Force. Air defense activity was seen in the sky, with an unknown if any missiles successfully impacted the base near Azraq. We continue on here just talking about what was going on last night, in case you're just joining us. This is reports by the Iranian state-run media of a cruise missile impact on the site of the Bushehr nuclear power plant in southern Iran. Statements published by the U.S. Embassy in Amman follow the launch of the ballistic missiles from Iran towards Jordan. So you can see the different areas that were attacked. Reports indicate missiles, drones, and rockets are in Jordanian airspace. Seek overhead cover and shelter in place immediately. Remain indoors and pay attention to local announcements. That's obviously the U.S. Embassy in Jordan will continue to review the situation and provide additional information as needed. Explosions with no accompanying sirens heard in Kuwait. It says, according to Axios' Barak Ravid, a senior official, the U.S. Air Force bombed 2 railway bridges. That was the previous night's strike. But obviously, you can see the number of strikes coming from both the Iranian side and the U.S. side here last night. And it seems like this is going to be the norm. This is going to continue, and it's only going to escalate because there's no off ramp. Negotiations seem to be, off the table. The MOU seems to be dead. There seems to be nothing kind of holding this together anymore, as kind of loosely as it was held held together to begin with. As it's kind of holding on by a thread there, and that thread seems to have broken. But we'll continue to bring you the news and the updates as this. I don't know if Donald Trump says he's going to stop this, if this is going to continue, how long the United States can actually keep this up, because we've heard before that stockpile issues become really apparent pretty quickly as they undertake especially this level, this many targets that they're striking night after night. What was it, 80 something the night before? So roughly 200 targets in 2 nights that the United States has been hitting. So, and obviously that's warranted the response by the Iranians as well. But, this is, again, anybody's game and anybody's guess as to where this goes from here. We continue to warn about the Bab el-Mandeb Strait and the Iranian proxies with the Houthis and the Red Sea. As the United States continue to escalate this, is that something that the Iranians are going to finally pull the trigger on? Because if that closes and the Strait of Hormuz closes and we continue to see both impacts as well as the strategic reserve continue to dwindle, we're going to be in a world of shit, much more much worse off than we were just with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. It's again another 11 or 12% of global shipping that goes through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Add that to if the Iranians want, and as they've threatened and said, they're going to close the Strait of Hormuz. Donald Trump again threatening a blockade of the Strait. So we seem to be going 10 steps back. We seem to be going to square one, and even back further than square one as far as that's concerned, because negotiations seem less likely now. Obviously, the ridiculous MOU has been burnt as far as that's concerned. So, remains to be seen what's going to happen in the next 24, 48 hours and, and so forth. But we'll continue to bring you the news as it's reported. Let's see if we can jump into, again, this story that I wanted to bring up, because it's one of those that absolutely nothing makes sense. It's a sickening representation of where this country is right now. A lot more of this seems to be happening, especially down in the South. This is the story of Nolan Wells, who down in Mississippi went out on a 4th of July trip with his friends, as you can see here. Let me get out of the way, or I'll put it above my head. This is a picture here that you may or may not have seen going around social media of this incident. Nolan Wells, the African-American gentleman in the middle of the rest of his friends there, as you can see. And, he was, the friends returned home without him from this trip. His body was later discovered. They're now trying to say that he was, trying to stay behind on this island to talk to a girl or to hang out with a different group, which again makes absolutely no sense, because somebody that age in today's, in the year of our Lord 2026, to not have his cell phone, to not have his stuff, to not request his friends drop it off or leave it somewhere so that he can, if he needs to, call for a ride home. If he's in an emergency, call 911. That type of thing. It just doesn't make any sense that they left willingly, brought all of his stuff back home, and then and then Nolan Wells was discovered. His body was discovered, and now nobody knows anything. Right, one of them's got a judge for a mom. They all erase their social media. Like the red flags going up around this are just too numerous, obviously, to discount and to ignore. But I just want to go through just a little bit of this in case anybody's not up to speed, has not heard about this case yet. But this is kind of the latest development where the judge of one of the moms of the friends of Nolan Wells has now explained why Nolan Wells was left on Horn Island before he turned up dead again, this taking place down in Mississippi. So she's trying to now say, and the group is trying to now say that, he was staying by, he was talking to a girl, and that he requested to stay behind and said that the other friends could leave, and he wanted to hang with another group. So if he was there in that moment telling his friends, hey, don't worry about me, go hang out with this other group, there was nothing in there said about, hey, can you drop off my bag? Can you give me my cell phone just in case something happens, in case this doesn't work out, in case this other group of friends I want to hang out with goes sour or something. It just, again, it doesn't line up. Nothing adds up as far as this is concerned. But tragic high school football star Nolan Wells, as this says, was left behind by his friends on Horn Island after the boat experienced a problem with the bilge pump, according to a judge who is the mother of one of Wells's pals. The 18-year-old Wells vanished during a 4th of July boat trip with pals Saturday, and his body was later found Monday morning. Wells was last seen around 3 p.m. Saturday, quote, talking to a girl at the north end of Horn Island, a popular barrier island around 10 miles off the coast, off the Mississippi Gulf Coast, the Jackson County Sheriff's Department said. Here's that photograph that I was telling you about that I'm sure, again, a lot of you have seen going around social media pertaining to this case here. His family have said that there are, quote, too many unanswered questions, which is putting it mildly. As far as this is concerned, about what happened, and have retained civil rights lawyer Ben Crump to represent them. Ashley Cole, a judge in Jackson County, confirmed in a statement that her son was among the youngsters who had been with Wells on the boat trip the day he went missing. Cole took Facebook to deny any suggestions her family had been trying to hamper the family's quest for answers. She said her son had been interviewed by the Jackson County Sheriff's Department and cooperated fully. He saw Nolan last around 3 p.m. on July 4th. They left around 4:30 when the boat was taking on water and they had an issue with the bilge pump. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island and return inland later with another group of friends, it states here. Okay, so if he made that decision and he was able to relay that decision to his friends, then his friends should have been able to relay his fucking cell phone and his things back to him. That's I don't see how that's a thing. Were they communicated? Were they face to face? Was it through text message? It could have been through text message if they had his phone. So clearly they were face to face. It just, none of it seems to be lining up. It seems to be, a clear case of people trying to do their best to cover up whatever trail they had in this or whatever involvement they had in this instead of, getting the answers out there. I can tell you right now that we're not leaving friends behind like that with no way to get home, with no cell phone, with none of their things. Like, that's just fucking asinine. It's asinine to think. So, I'm sure more is going to come out from this. But again, the red flags that are going up right now and the family suspicions and obviously talking about how, it seems like there's too many unanswered questions is something that needs to be talked about until everything is, everything comes to light. It says Cole said that they had graduated high school with Wells' mom, Christine Wells Wansley, and that our family's thoughts and prayers are with the Nolan family. Police are also reportedly investigating a video which allegedly shows a heated argument before Wells went missing. The viral clip circulated online to capture an intense argument near the shoreline, but authorities have not confirmed if it's authentic or whether if any of the people in it were with Wells. So, a lot of people speaking about this as they should be. And this is, kind of like I said, a broader general representation of a lot of the problems that we are now seeing in this country, brought upon by the blatant bigotry and racism that has been so brought to the mainstream by Donald Trump in particular and the broader general, Republican Party. So, a lot of people now thinking that there is some funny business going on here, and by what's been reported, from what I've gathered, right, and again, it's definitely possible that there's been some new information that I've missed or anything, but from what I've gathered, from what I've seen of this story, nothing really adds up. Okay, nothing really makes sense, and the family deserves answers. That's all there is to it. They absolutely deserve answers. They absolutely deserve everybody's full and outright cooperation in this matter. So hopefully that they get that. And again, my apologies if there has been some advancements to this case, and I'm not privy to that. I'm just going based upon, like I said, what knowledge I have over the matter. So let's see here. There was a few other things that I wanted to discuss as well. This is pertaining to ICE. Not kind of shining any more sunlight on these situations or on today's show, but this is one of the 10 people fatally shot now by Donald Trump's immigration officials. This is a problem that we have been dealing with for quite some time, whether or not it is just the violence and brutality of ICE and DHS, or again, the outright just fatally shooting of American citizens and other people that are looking to create a better life in this country. So this says early on Tuesday morning, 52-year-old Lorenzo Salgado Arroyo took to his coffee and his meal his wife had prepared for him, said goodbye to his dog, and left the house he built. He drove his white van, picked up 3 co-workers, and headed towards a construction site to work on some houses. But Salgado never made it to work during a, quote, targeted enforcement operation. Officers with Immigration and Customs Enforcement shot and killed Salgado and arrested the 3 other men. So as you can see here, it says, new terrifying levels, 10 people fatally shot by immigration officials in Trump's second term. as Trump's immigration crackdown continues. Lorenzo Salgado Arroyo and death marks another high-profile killing by ICE officers. As we just said, he was just regularly departing for work, picked up his co-workers. I believe one of them was actually his brother, if I'm not mistaken. We'll go over and we'll see it. We'll hear his son's comments, or a little from his son's comments from the press conference that he did. But I do believe that one of the co-workers was also either family or closely associated with the family as well. But it said Salgado's death marks the 10th fatal shooting by federal immigration officials nationwide since the second Trump administration took office. A review of public reports by The Guardian shows as the Trump administration continues with its anti-immigration crackdown. Let me see if I can just blow this up a little bit on your screen, make it a little bigger so you're not squinting at it, just in case. Is that a little bigger? Too big? All right, we'll go here. Let's see here. Where do we leave off? But ICE officers and Customs and Border Protection agents have been responsible for fatal shootings. Not all of the shootings took place during immigration enforcement operations. In one case, CBP shot and killed a man who fired on a Border Patrol station in Texas. And in another, an off-duty ICE officer shot and killed a man in California. Details of Salgado's shooting remain murky, with the Department of Homeland Security alleging that Salgado, quote, weaponized his vehicle when ICE officers tried to stop and arrest the four men. Very similar to what we've heard in some of the past cases, the previous cases, where ICE officials and DHS officials have opened fire on these vehicles. Again, we've detailed this. That is against their practice. It's against the agency's practice to do this. But again, it doesn't seem to matter what the law states, what their rules and regulations stipulate. They got the blanket coverage by not only their commanders, but also the president of the United States to kind of do as they please, do as they choose to these people. It says he did not deserve to die. Ronaldo Salgado, the son of Lorenzo Salgado, said at a press conference on Wednesday. We'll take a listen to that press conference in just a second. The Homeland Security Department has been grappling with its agency's involvement in high-profile deaths in the past year. Last month, Human Rights Watch and Physicians for Human Rights released a report calculating that in the first 500 days of Trump's second administration, 52 people have died in ICE custody. The United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights has raised the alarm about increasing number of deaths in the U.S. government immigration custody, something that we've detailed at Delaney Hall, something that we've detailed in different instances all around the country, and people are every day out there protesting against. We've seen different hunger strikes take place with a lot of the people held in these horrendous conditions as well. This says now that critics are saying that the administration's aggressive efforts to engage in, quote, mass deportation campaign are heightening the likelihood of violence and death. The, quote, deaths of people in the immigration prisons had reached a new terrifying levels. 21 people have died in ICE detentions this year alone. And now we are learning of yet another shooting death by an immigration agent on the streets of another U.S. neighborhood, says Jesse Franzblau, the Associate Director of Policy with the National Immigrant Justice Center. It says, quote, Congress has given ICE and CBP billions of dollars, $70 billion alone in a bill passed just last month with no accountability for the violence they have brought to our communities, end quote. Two of the highest profile shootings in the past year have been those of Renee Good and Alex Preddy in Minnesota during the Trump administration immigration enforcement surge. In January, Good and Preddy, U.S. citizens, were killed by federal immigration enforcement officials. Good was killed by an ICE officer, while Preddy was shot and killed by CBP agents. Their deaths led to mass protests, and ICE spokesperson said its officials are trained to use the, quote, minimum amount of force necessary to resolve dangerous situations. And what he means is the minimum amount of thinking, okay, the minimum amount of critical thinking. We've talked at length about the people that they've gone on to recruit. We've talked about their recruiting tactics and the people that go on to cosplay as military figures because they were too fat, too slow, too fucking stupid to do it on their own. So now they get this opportunity to go throw on a fake bulletproof vest, a little fucking helmet, and some paintball gear, get out there with the little fucking ass cracks hanging out and beat on some people, pepper ball some people, pepper spray some fucking American citizens so you can act like a big fucking tough guy every 10 minutes as you come out to peaceful protesters that are just trying to, again, raise awareness for the starvation and the horrendous conditions that people are being held at against their will, without trial, without warrant in a lot of cases. But again, it says in at least 4 of the immigration-related shooting deaths, including Salgado's, the victims were driving vehicles, as I stipulated, when they were shot. Law enforcement officials are trained to move out of the car's path rather than shooting at a moving vehicle. We've pulled this up. We've pulled up the actual the policy book, the playbook, the handbook for these officials. We've brought up the specific rules, the regulations, and cited that to them, to their faces, about what they are supposed to do in these situations. And it's not just randomly open fire into the vehicle, I assure you. It says from July 2025 to January 2026, the Wall Street Journal identified over a dozen incidents of federal immigration officials firing at people's vehicles. Over a dozen, right? The pattern is not of law enforcement using deadly force. It's a pattern of vehicles being used as weapons, they stipulate, by violent agitators to attack our enforcement, a DHS spokesperson has been paid to say by the Trump administration, is what that should say. Calling them dangerous criminals, a guy that, again, was going to work. We'll hear from his son. Yeah, we might as well put this on now. And before I go on to his son's press conference and learning a little bit about the person that was shot and killed and how much of a dangerous criminal he was, I'll let you decide after talking to his son, after hearing his son. But here's another one. This was a former Afghan ally who died in ICE custody, suffered an allergic reaction, death certificate says. So again, another person maltreated. As far as being in custody, not given the proper, medical, treatment, not properly cared for as far as what his ailments might be. It says that the Afghan national who fought alongside U.S. forces died from allergic reaction while in custody of Immigration and Customs Enforcement. So let me just fucking, can I get that across to you guys one more time? An Afghan national who fought alongside U.S. forces, who did something that Donald Trump never did, that did something that not a fucking person in Donald Trump's family has ever fucking done, which is put himself in harm's way, raise his hand to take the oath to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and fucking domestic, which this Afghan national did, only to find himself in a fucking horrendous situation in a Customs and Immigration Enforcement Center. Okay? Not only that, but passed away, died because of negligence, because of lack of care in that fucking facility. It says 1 day after he was detained for deportation proceedings, his death certificate shows Mohammed Nazir Paktiawal, 41, suffered an adverse drug reaction, they state, to an unidentified substance, which triggered anaphylaxis and exacerbated his asthma, according to the document. His March 14th death at a Dallas hospital was ruled to be an accident. Paktiawal's sudden death in ICE custody has drawn outrage because he had risked his life fighting for and as an ally for U.S. Special Forces in Afghanistan for a decade. Just let that sink in. Let that sink in. That's how people are being treated, regardless of who you are, what you've done, how much you've sacrificed, how much blood you've spilled, how many tears you've spilled side by side with people trying to protect this country, or at least being propagandized into believing that they're protecting this country. This guy literally fought alongside U.S. forces, U.S. special fucking forces in Afghanistan for a decade, only to find himself in this customs enforcement, dying in this fucking enforcement center. Well, died in the hospital, but obviously the lack of care that he received while in the customs enforcement center is what led to this death, right? It says that out of more than 50 ICE detention deaths during President Trump's second term, Paktiawal's is the first to be ruled an accident, according to tracking by the Associated Press. Most of the others have been blamed on natural causes or suicide. So again, really convenient for this administration, really convenient for the ICE and the DHS officials to be calling it, dying of natural causes or death by suicide, right? It's almost like the Jeffrey Epstein effect has come back to bite this administration in the ass. So I just wanted to throw that on and show you, kind of how widespread this is. And it doesn't matter if you have brown skin, black skin, if you talk funny, if you don't speak the language, if you have different ideals, a different nationality, doesn't matter what the fuck you did. It doesn't matter even if you're a 1,000 times a better person than Donald Trump could ever even fucking dream to be. 10,000, 10 million, a billion times better of a person. You'll find yourselves right in that hellhole, right? Not getting the treatment that you deserve, not getting the medical care that you deserve, and eventually dying from that. And it's pathetic. It's embarrassing. It's disheartening. It's depressing. It's crazy to see that this is happening to people that risk so much. You know what he was risking by helping U.S. Special Forces in Afghanistan for 10 years? Does anybody understand what that sacrifice means as far as his family, his village, his extended family, what that means for the rest of his fucking life? Like I hope that people understand what that means. And it's not just a guy who said, yep, I want to go here or go there to help this military. No, this is a guy that knew exactly what he was getting into, what it meant if he was captured, what it meant if his family was captured, his extended family, anybody in his village, wherever he grew up, wherever he's from, for helping United States Special Forces. I mean, I don't know. It's tough to get across just what the risk associated with doing that, especially for a decade, and then to find himself dead at the hands of ICE and immigration here under Donald Trump is fucking sickening. It really is absolutely sickening. But to further drill home this point, here's just a quick clip. I think you'll get the understanding here of the type of person that we're speaking about as far as the more recent fatal shooting. This is the gentleman's son here, and he held a press conference just speaking a little bit about his father and what type of man he was. And I just want to play that for you now, and you guys can come to your own conclusions as to what the truth is between what his son is telling you and what the DHS reports say as far as him using his vehicle as a weapon. You know what I mean? So here we go. Let's check this out.
That's how I want the world to know my father. Not as someone who got shot and killed, but as a family man, a man who understood that good things come to those who put in hard work. I am calling for a full investigation into the events that transpired yesterday, July 7th. He did not deserve to die. He did not deserve to be reduced to a headline of Mexican man shot and killed by ICE. He deserved to live a quiet life as Lorenzo Salgado Araujo, a husband, a father, and a job creator for dozens of men who also wanted the American dream.
That's right.
I would be doing his memory a disservice if I didn't recognize the other three men who were with him, one of which was my uncle. All three men were rounded up. I have not heard from them, but I hope that they are able
So you heard
to
there. So I don't know if it was, his mother's brother or his father's brother in that instance, but, people other, closely affiliated and related to him were involved in this whole thing. And, you can tell by his emotions, the way he's speaking about his father. This was not this dangerous criminal that needed to be rounded up off the street, somebody that was going to work, trying to provide for his family, trying to contribute to society, picked up his coworkers and never even made it to fucking work because ICE and DHS will lurk and roam in the streets looking for anybody of brown descent, anybody of brown skin color, black skin color, somebody that doesn't belong, speak English, anything like that. If you look out of place, then you have the the opportunity here they're affording you to be stopped, and then eventually, if you panic, if you're not handling the situation correctly, they're going to just fire into your vehicle.
Own statements to prove that my father feared for his life as unmarked cars followed my dad, who only wanted to get back to work and back to us. My dad, because he had been in the process of getting a work permit, he knew what to do in case he was stopped by ICE. Okay. What happened though? My father was being followed by two unmarked cars. Had my father seen an emblem of ICE or an emblem that says anything about law enforcement agency, my father would have complied. He would have stopped.
And we've seen this lead time and time and time again to escalation. People just rocking up on fucking random people on the street in street clothes, throwing them to the ground, demanding this identification, demanding that, pulling out guns. And it's like, how do you expect people to fucking react, right? You'd think you'd at least flash a badge, flash a warrant. And a lot of these times they're not able to get that. And then they don't even flash the badge either. It's just immediately right to aggression, right to violence, right to throwing them down, right to demanding this, that, or the other thing, or trying to, pin them in their car or force them off the road or do a pit maneuver. Like they just take it from 0 to 100 right off the fucking bat. And this is what it leads to time and time again. We've watched ample videos of people in airports, courtrooms, hospitals, their place of work, just being brutalized by people in plain clothes and others around them demanding, hey, who the fuck are you? Show some identification. Tell us who you are, what is going on, and no response being given by the people, which again leads to confusion. It leads to people panicking. It leads to people making, decisions that they wouldn't normally make had they seen, again, law enforcement agency tags or identification. So this is what it leads to. That's why we've seen now, again, 10 now fatal shootings by Donald Trump's ICE and DHS as they're trying to go about this mass immigration or mass deportation policy that Donald Trump promised everybody that he's just not able to do. He's not able to come through with the numbers that he promised people, because the numbers that he promised people as far as illegal immigrants in this country does not exist. They do not fucking exist to the extent that Donald Trump would have you believe. His 25, 30 million fucking number is asinine. His own administration, his own people in his own fucking party don't acknowledge that that number exists, which is why they're going to never be able to fulfill all of the numbers that they've been promised to everybody, which is why they tried to go into prisons, which is they've gone into Home Depot and Lowe's parking lots, and they've sat outside of courtrooms trying to get the easiest prey they possibly can to pad their fucking stats. And this is what it leads to time and time again.
He would have not ran away because he feared for his life.
So again, that was a much longer press conference given there, but I just wanted to show you, obviously, the love and affection and what he thought of his father, how he described his father, and how, this wasn't a person that was, a drug dealer, a rapist, a pedophile like we have in the White House right now and in the administration at large and roaming around in Congress right now. Not any of those. A guy that just wanted to go to work, a guy that finished having breakfast with his family, picked up his fucking coworkers, tried to go work and on his day's work to come home and eat dinner with his fucking family and do it all over again so he can continue providing, not making it home to his family, now no longer with us because of these mass deportation policies that Donald Trump and DHS and Mark Wayne Mullen and the rest of these cocksuckers are desperate to try to fill and to pad these stats because they know that they've been lying consistently to the American people about the danger that the threat that they're under and the amount of illegal immigrants that are actually in this fucking country. It continues to be seen time and time again. In this instance, is no different, and it's something that we're going to continue to see as long as the rhetoric continues to be what it is, as long as their policies continue to be what they are, and it's all over the place. Okay, it's all over the fucking place. Like we continue to talk about Delaney Hall, obviously in Minnesota, Vermont, New York, all over the place right now. It's still going on, and it's getting worse. It really is getting worse. So something that we need to continue to talk about. We need to continue to highlight all of the illegalities, all of the criminalities that this fucking administration is involved in, so that we could rightly set up these Nuremberg style trials that we should definitely be fucking talking about. Like the blueprint should already be in the works for where it's going to be, how it's going to look, how many cameras are going to be there, who's going to be sitting where, what the fuck, all of the things should be thought about right now by people in power on the correct side of the aisle by how about how those Nuremberg style trials should really go. All right, let's switch gears just for a second and let's hop back into the genocidal rhetoric of the Republicans here as it pertains to the war in Iran. I continue to say that we don't see an off-ramp. I don't know where we go from here. This is something that's been throwing military experts since it was enacted by Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu as far as what the end goal is. It's continued to change, how we kind of initiate the off-ramp, how we initiate the evacuation and the exfil of the United States military of this area, what we can consider a victory. All of that has changed, which has led to the uncertainty, the instability of the situation and people being able to predict what's going on. And since we've seen the recent, tearing up of the MOU and the degradation of peace talks and negotiations in general with the recent bombings and attacks, both by Iran into the Strait of Hormuz and into Gulf nations and the United States into, several hundred different targets over the last 24, 48 hours into Iran as well. So, it remains to be seen where we go from here, what happens. It seems like it's only escalation. That's the only thing that I could see for quite some time, and whether that's continued night after night or we see a couple nights on, couple nights off, trying to, kind of withhold our stockpile. Because again, we're not at the levels from what has been reported that the United States military could just do this night after night for a prolonged period of time without doing some real damages to its stockpiles and putting the rest of the military on the planet in some, in a pretty sticky situation as far as percentages and if anything kicks off as far as another conflict, how we're going to be able to respond to that. So this is Kyle Shitby on Newsmax, trying to tell his audience that the only thing left here, for them to finish the job in Iran is just total annihilation. Not joking. He's not, he's not repeating a Donald Trump Truth Social post, which is exactly what Donald Trump has put on Truth Social before. He's dead serious. Okay. And this is somebody who was just slightly critical of Donald Trump enacting this war in the first place. But now that they were there, he thinks that we need to go balls to the wall and we need to take them all out. Whether that is, he's still talking about regime change as well. He thinks that needs to be the new goal. that needs to be the new baseline, is taking out the entirety of the leadership, and how long that will take. What that actually even consists of, nobody really knows. But Kyle Shitby here is going to tell his audience exactly what he thinks. And this is just real quick. This is only a 3-minute, 20-second segment that they posted here. So it's not like we have to go through a 10-minute segment of his bullshit. So hit that like button. Again, my name is Brian. I really do appreciate you guys for joining us. If you could hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, that would be fantastic. We are obviously haters of everything that is Republican. We are supporters of everything that is against Donald Trump and the Republican Party. So again, if you find yourself in the correct area, if you like to chat in the community in here, make sure you hit that like button and join us. I appreciate it. Let's go on and call out this bullshit. Again, this is Kyle Shitby on Newsmax saying basically we need to wipe out Iran.
Look, I was against going into Iran in the first place. You know that if you watch the show. But once you go in, you have to go finish the job. This is what the problem was with Iraq and Afghanistan and Vietnam and all these things. You have to destroy their ability to exist. These people only speak force. That's why that region has been ruled by dictators since its inception.
I mean, these fucking genocidal neocon bastards, just their genocidal rhetoric just slips out so easily out of their mouth. Like the calling for the deaths of fucking millions and millions of people is so easy for them to espouse on a nightly basis. You hear what he just said? Like, listen to this one more time.
Vietnam and all these things. You have to destroy their ability to exist. These people only speak force. That's why that region.
You have to destroy their ability to exist. He didn't stipulate the leadership, right? He wasn't talking about the Ayatollah in his regime. He didn't specify the IRGC. He's talking about the entirety of Iran. He's talking about water treatment plants. He's talking about desalination plants. He's talking about bridges. He's talking about everything that these people need to exist on a daily basis. He wants to wipe that out, and he thinks that's the only solution left, which frightens me because, again, the lack of another solution, I believe, is going to force Donald Trump, the guy that thinks the more bombs that he drops, the more alpha he looks, to thinking that he can actually force the Iranians to like this, unconditional surrender. Right. And it's just not something that they're going to do. It's not something that no matter what, they're willing to risk not only them, but also their population to stay in this fight. They've continued Donald Trump's continued to talk about how they don't care about their citizens, all the people and the protesters that they killed. Well, clearly they're willing to put them up as sacrifices, right? They're willing to put them in a not so great position to withstand the blockade, to withstand the military power by both the United States and Israel. So it's a lot different than Venezuela, we continue to say. And it seems like Kyle Shitby and Greg Kelly and the rest of these morons think this is like going to be, no matter what, the more bombs you drop, then we're going to get like this Venezuela type outcome. We're going to be able to go in there and capture the Ayatollah. And then we're going to be, wipe our hands, everything's A-okay as far as that's concerned. It's just crazy.
It has been ruled by dictators since its inception with rare exception. Before I go any further, let's just dispel some of the stuff right out the gate that people are like, oh, some of the Iranians are good people. Most Iranians are not good people, and they're not our friends. Period. Full stop.
Most Iranians are not good people. I mean, just again, one of these broadly bigoted, broadly racist, broadly generalized statements about an entire population not being good people, based upon Donald Trump's propaganda, Benjamin Netanyahu's propaganda about them not only wanting to have a nuclear weapon, but then Donald Trump going on to insist that if they did have one, which they don't, which Donald, they've all been warning for about 37 years now, but if they did have one, they'd use it in a heartbeat. So it's like how you can put all those things together and I don't know and sit here and listen to this moron is just, again, it's beyond me. How people still listen to Newsmax and Kyle Shitby in particular is just, it's wild. It really is wild in the year of our Lord 2026.
Most, sure. Some are temporary aligned with us while we take out a regime that is mutually hated. Okay, where
so he's getting his audience to hate an entire country, basically buttering them up for the drastic action if and when it does come by Donald Trump. If he decides to go after more infrastructure, like we saw him hit bridges and railways. in last night's and the night before's attacks, right? So if that continues, if that persists, if we start going deeper into Iran and start taking out the things that they need to live into, to communicate and to transport each other, to get around the country each and every day, then, this is going to escalate as far as the number of people that are affected and killed as well by this. So Kyle Shippey trying to get his entire audience right now to hate, to despise, and to think that everybody in Iran is a terrible person. Don't shed a tear if we continue to drop bombs. And if we escalate and continue to attack civilian infrastructure, then don't be afraid, because they're not our friends. They're our enemies. They're not great people. Like, listen to this shit.
This happened before. Oh, right. I am a student of history. The Taliban. We armed them during the Cold War against the Russians, and now they're using those same munitions, albeit antiquated weapons, against our troops, and did so for the entire war in Afghanistan. Some even made it to Iraq when I was there. There are some people now.
How'd that go, by the way? How'd that go? How have the rest of these wars gone? That, again, I believe he's actually been a part of, like he just said. Like, how you don't recall how that went? You don't recall how you were kind of used and abused as pawns, and you were lied to as far as the ultimate goal and the reason, the justification we went in to begin with? You don't recall all of that, just to repeat the same mistakes here and to be gung-ho about taking out an entire civilization on Newsmax? Like, these people are fucking sick in the head. This is a death cult, okay? These are people that want to see the death and destruction of anybody that's not white. Purely, plain and simple, point blank, end of fucking story. That's it. Whether it's through mass deportations, whether it's through bombs being dropped, whether it's through stripping people of rights, whether it's by not allowing them access to fucking healthcare, whatever it may be, they want to see people die. So the pro-life party, my fucking asshole, okay? They want to see people die. Not white people, but other people, anybody other. God forbid you speak another language. God forbid you have dark skin. God forbid you have a different attire, a different dress based on whatever culture you're a part of, right? God forbid that takes place, because you're ultimately a target, automatically a target for these fucking sick individuals, these depraved, decrepit individuals that want to see nothing but death and destruction, because they're so willing to obfuscate and justify anything that their fucking dear leader, their dear Fuhrer does, that they're so blinded to everything that it's now causing as far as the destruction to the fucking world at large, that they're willing to call for the eradication of an entire people, to get their audience to believe that an entire population of people are horrendous, bad people that you shouldn't have any sympathy, empathy, or compassion for when you see the girls' schools being struck, when you see the fucking infrastructure being hit, when you see night after night after night these different areas being struck by U.S. fucking munitions. It's, I know, I continue to say it's crazy, it's insane, it's wild, but I mean, let me know in the chat if there's anything else that I could call it at this point in time, because they are absolutely a genocidal fucking death cult, right? Which is why they're so fucking happy, why they're so willing to go along with everything that Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu is continuously perpetrating on a daily basis. Another genocidal fucking death cult supporting another genocidal death cult. That's all they are.
That align with us in the moment, but sure as hell won't align with us the second they take over the country. Trust me on this, folks. Trump is finally understanding how irrational these people actually are.
They're scum. That's the way they act, and that's the way they've done it for 47 years. But I'm doing what's right for the country. I'm doing really what's right for the world. They have to be stopped.
So, look, this can't be about regime change. It's got to be about regime elimination. That culture,
not regime change. Okay, so that's no longer a justified goal. That's no longer a mission that the United States is willing to achieve in regime change. They don't want to see the best for the people. They need complete and total elimination. And listen to how he even goes further.
Their leaders, or whoever that may be, they don't view us Westerners, especially Americans, as human. They believe that we're,
I'm sorry, do they have maybe some reason, I don't know, something that's happened several times in the past and continues to happen up until this day, as far as, the United States going against their word or acting behind the scenes to try to, instill or install different people? Like, I'm just saying, is there some things that we could talk about in history that have maybe gone to lead to this sentiment in this area about the United States and about the West in general? Or are you just going to totally obfuscate and eliminate that from your reporting there, fucking Kyle? I'm not sure. I just think there's justification. We continue to lead them to negotiating tables only to then assassinate different people behind the scenes, as we've done several times now, as Donald Trump's done several times now. I mean, just speaking more recently, why would they trust us? You know what I mean? And why would they? I wouldn't trust us.
They're superior and we're infidels or swine or pigs or what dogs or whatever that's what that's what we're dealing with. And I think thankfully Trump has finally realized how bad it is after trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. And I give him credit for it. But here's got to be the plan. You want to win? This is the cold, hard truth. It's mass destruction. And newsflash, we're going to run out of.
If you want to win, the cold, hard truth is it's mass destruction. Does it get more genocidal? Does it get more definitionally genocidal than that? Let me know in the chat. You know what I mean? I know for years now I've been called hyperbolic. I've been comparing in my studies of World War II the fascism that I've seen there and the things that I've seen take place and studied that happened in World War II to the tactics and the rhetoric that were espoused and continue to be espoused by today's Republican Party. I was been called time and time again hyperbolic. There's no way that you can compare the two. Meanwhile, we have instance after instance after instance in which Donald Trump himself has directly or basically directly recited Mein Kampf or a speech of Hitler's or the rhetoric of the Nazis in particular, with calling the immigrants vermin, calling them scum, calling them disease-ridden parasites, right? The enemy of the people, poisoning the blood of the people. We could go on. We can continue to go on, right? People, him joking about taking an oath to himself. It's so similar. It's fucking sickening at this point in time. But, to sit here and hear now that Newsmax, which is just state-run propaganda for the Trump administration, actively doing the propaganda of calling for the outright genocide of another fucking entire country as they're teamed up, as they're aligned with Israel, as they're continuing their genocide in Gaza, as they're continuing their push into the West Bank, supported by their government as they continue to bomb inside of fucking Lebanon. I mean, I'm just saying. At some point, you got to recognize the similarities. You got to recognize what side of fucking history you're actually playing for. And when you call for the complete annihilation of an entire people, then you're with the other side. You're with the fucking Stalins and the Hitlers and the Maos and the rest of these and the Pol Pots and the rest of these fucking psychopathic, ridiculous people that have been leaders in history. So again, this is Kyle, and he goes on here.
500-pound JDAMs before Iran runs out of people who hate us. War is hell, but if you're unwilling to be as ruthless as your enemy, you have already lost.
I'm not sure I want to make a deal with him. We can play games, but I'm not sure I want to make a deal. Let's just finish the job.
There you go. Mass destruction. You need to hold, and this is what's really going to send the people.
And notice how he's not really telling his audience what that involves. Right? It's a broad general statement. It's an easy thing to say with the fucking makeup on, with the spotlight on you, with the cameras and the microphone and a nice air-conditioned studio wherever the fuck he is. Really easy to say, but it's really difficult to get your audience to grasp, right? To understand what that actually involves and the sights that they'll have to see if that's actually enacted. Right? Take out the water in the Middle East. If you really want to see fucking death and suffering, if you thought what was going on now with the bombs and the drones and the missiles is fucking death and suffering and causing that, wait till you see what happens when the Middle East and surrounding areas can't get fresh water. Okay, when they've every bit of their infrastructure is taken out, and we continue to blockade their economy until millions and millions and millions and millions of their people are dying from starvation or malnutrition or whatever the fuck it may be, dehydration. Like, that's what he's not explaining what that entails, nor will Donald Trump have any idea what that entails either. Like, he can say he doesn't want to negotiate, but what does that actually mean? How far are you willing to take it? Where is the end? Because even with an outright war, an all-out war, there has to be a goal. There has to be some sort of line in the sand that if you obtain that, if you get to this geographical point, or if you get this surrender from somebody, that has to be the end. And how far are you willing to go to get that? And I don't think there's any answers coming from this administration. I don't think they've put even any thought into what that means as far as, stockpiles compared to Iran's military capabilities that they still have left, clearly still have left, as we've continued to report. You don't hit 90 or 170 something different targets in 48 hours if they don't have any military capabilities. If you don't have any targets to strike, then you wouldn't hit 200 fucking targets. It's just, again, a waste of munitions. It's a waste of taxpayer money, and you're not getting anywhere. You're not getting anything from it. There's no benefit. So it's just useless. You're using that as propaganda to say, oh, look at what we did. Look at all these strike packages. Look at all these photos and videos from shit that was hit for the fucking 1200th time. You know what I mean? Well, it's either they have the ability to rebuild that quickly, that we're going to continue this fight for a long time, or you're just lying and continuing to hit shit that doesn't need to be hit anymore. And we're just, again, spending more taxpayer money for no benefit with nothing in return, which is, you know, I wouldn't put it past this administration for 1 second.
Screaming. Hold a meeting with global nuclear powers and make sure Iran sees you do it so they know what you're talking about. Have a legitimate discussion of the threshold of a nuclear strike. And again, let them, and like, oh, if you're gasping right now, I know. But when
he's calling for nukes, he's calling for the nukes. Okay. He's literally, and if he's not calling for the nukes, he's calling for threatening nuclear war against Iran. That's what he just called for. That's what he wants Donald Trump to do. If he's not willing to if he's not willing to push the button, at least threaten to push the button. And as you can see, he knows that even his audience isn't going to react kindly to that because, he says, if we heard the gasp right there. Listen to this one more time.
Have a legitimate discussion of the threshold of a nuclear strike. And again, let them, and like, oh, if you're gasping right now, I know. But when you've put friends in bags because of these people in Iran, you have a bit of different perspective on this. Look, if you're
right, so it's your own personal agenda that is leading you to call for the president of the United States to either threaten the use of nuclear weapons or actively use nuclear weapons in this fight. It's your own personal vendetta against the Iranians that's leading you to do this, not what's best for the country, right? Not what would be beneficial to the country, what would best help and serve the American people, but because of your anger, because of what has happened to you in your past, that's why you're now getting on TV, getting on Newsmax, and getting your entire audience to believe that Iran is full of shitty, terrible fucking people that need to be eliminated. And it's because, you had a friend that sadly died when you were in service, or again, whatever he's using as his justification there. As sad as it may be, again, it's ridiculous to use that as your justification for nuclear fucking strikes against Iran. Okay. I don't think it needs to be said too many more times, but again, that's Kyle Shippey of Newsmax and one of his more genocidal posts that he's ever had, one of his more genocidal clips. And that was, again, only about 3 minutes and 20 seconds long. So I can only imagine what he said in the longer clip, the longer segment of that show. But a clear death cult. That's what they are. This Republican Party is a death cult, right? They want people to die as fast as humanly possible, unless you're part of the white race, unless you're part of the Aryan race that's going to continue the bloodline and to build up, what this country used to be, if you listen to the bullshit that they espouse. But all right, let's see if we can check out, because a lot of people talking about this, as far as Donald Trump struggling to get in and off the plane. And this will lead us into this discussion of security surrounding his Qatari jet. There's an I've Had It Jen and Pump's video clip that they're speaking about this as well. I figure we could jump into a couple minutes of that, see what they have to say. But yeah, this is Donald Trump leaving Turkey, getting on Air Force One, when, again, it was rumored that there was some security issues surrounding his Qatari jet, the $400 million bribe that he received from Qatar, that the United States taxpayers spent billions of dollars to rehash and to refit, and again, only to have it deemed not ready, not fucking worthy of having the president fly on it. If, again, it's an international trip, apparently, or if there's any slight threat to the president, which, again, there always is. So clearly there's problems with either the communication. Clearly there's either problems with the missile or weapons detections platforms that they don't have trust in, or it's just not part of that fucking capability on that ship, on that plane. I mean, the Air Force One, the original one that he got on here, was built from the ground up to be specifically used as the president's plane, with everything in mind: communications, being able to conduct the country at altitude in Air Force One, if there's a war going on, being able to lead as the commander-in-chief, the United States Armed Forces, all of the detections, the weapons detections platforms, all of the radar and everything that goes into that was thought about on blueprint before it was fucking built. The Qatari jet, not so fucking much, right? So you could spend all of the money that you want and throw it all in there, but it definitely it's not going to be the same. It's not going to have the same characteristics. It's not going to have the same capabilities. It's just not, because it wasn't thought about as that. It wasn't built as that weapon from the ground up. You can try to transform it as much as you want, but you're only putting lipstick on a fucking pig at this point. And unfortunately, there's a pig flying in that pig. But here's Donald Trump again, like I said, struggling. As you can see him getting up the stairs here. And, a lot of people would think, he's been doing his shit all day, sitting in his fucking diaper all day. Maybe his legs are tired. But, even after a flight here where he had to switch planes, you can see where he was getting off the plane and he was walking awfully gingerly. Like he was definitely not liking getting down those steps and having some issues kind of putting the weight on his legs. But here's a clip a lot of people are talking about. Here's him getting on the plane. So it takes him a world record about 35 fucking seconds to get out of the beast right off the bat. Didn't even make it to the steps yet. We're already at about half the day. There he is, waddling his ass up the steps. Like, look at his left knee. Like, a lot of people have for quite some time recognized that he's either struggled to walk in a straight line or that, I think it's the left leg. I'm pretty sure it's the left leg. Have had some, like, immobility problems. But it seems to be like it's caving in on itself every time he tries to put the weight on that one. Like, watch his left leg. Just kind of buckles where it doesn't look like the right leg does it. Like, it kind of bends in. You see how, like, it has that weird bend to it? Just continues to like buckle in the center, like he doesn't have the strength in his knees, which again, he's 80 fucking years old. So, but to say that you're the strongest and the healthiest and the most powerful man on earth is clearly not what we're seeing being represented in his day-to-day activities. So that's why we continue to call this out. He's struggling mightily there. I mean, you can see the arm getting going. Like he's even trying to generate some momentum with the left arm to try to help him up the stairs. Watch the left arm flop. Like straight down. Watch it here. Oh, what? You see that? He fucking either that or he just farted. He just shat himself and had to wipe it away real quick before he got onto the plane, so nobody knew it was him. Oh, thank you, Bry Guy. Much appreciated, guys. Thank you to anybody that's been nice enough to throw in a couple bucks in the chat there. Thank you so much to Abby for the Swedish krona, as always. Thank you to Rachel so much, and I'll go through these more in depth at the end of the show. Thank you to Bry Guy for the $5 contribution as well. Really, really do love seeing you guys contribute to this community. Really makes me feel good. Makes me feel like we're doing something right. Again, you can utilize the chat. You can utilize the Venmo up in the corner there. There's Cash App. There's PayPal. There's patreon.com/Boston Brian. We are an independent channel. We have no outside resources. We don't sell you any green juice or shitty mattresses or any way to find out your bloodline or whatever's being sold on these different fucking sites nowadays. None of that is happening. No commercials, no ads to bother you as far as on my end. But if you guys could head over to the Blunt Politics merch shop, if you could kick in a buck or two to the Venmo, donate or gift super chats to people, or memberships, I should say, in the chat to people, all of those go a long, long way to help this, again, independent channel. We're trying to do it the right way so nobody has the ability to tell us what we can and cannot say. And that's, again, only going to be a thing, only going to be a possibility as we continue here with your help, with your generosity. And again, being able to go to do things like we're about to undertake as far as going to Estonia, driving into Kyiv to hand over these vehicles to the desperately needed Ukrainian military. Those things only happen with us building up this platform, building up the subscriber base, as unfortunate and boring and mundane as it is to talk about and have to discuss. It is a reality of this. It's an unfortunate reality, but the more people see you and the more you get seen, the more you're able to interject yourself into different sites and things, and that's what we hope to do with this platform, is to build up the different communities, to uplift different people on this platform, and to be out there reporting the news wherever it may be, and to do these different great things that about about these different passionate projects that we're very fond of as well. So that was him walking up the stairs. There was one here of him coming off the stairs as well, which didn't look much better. So this is him getting off of that Air Force One to make the shift to the Qatari jet, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, which he said he had to send to Royal Air Force Base so that they could check out the plane. But, really didn't line up with the questions that he was being asked as far as the press gaggle on the way home. Apparently, they made them shut the shades at one point, which gave him a little cause for concern in the press gaggle. But yeah, here's where he's getting off. Awfully gingerly, you know what I mean? He's just really, really thinking about every step that he's taking here. And I know he's got that like ridiculous fear of falling on camera, which I'm sure is half of it. But, the way that he was walking up the stairs, I don't think the old leggies are feeling too good. I'm thinking the swelling may have a problem with the traveling, lack of sleep, piss poor diet, all of the activities that he's been forced to do throughout this, the trip to Turkey there, I'm sure is probably having some effect on the swelling in his legs as well. So that could be another impact, another effect as to why he's moving so kind of, I don't know, touch and go, we'll say. And he's fucking holding on for dear life on that railing. God forbid they didn't have a railing on this thing. You wouldn't know what to do. There we go. Yeah, yep. Almost there. Almost. Yep. Yeah, great. Only took you about 35 minutes to get down those steps. But let's see here, because Jen and Pumps, as they typically do, had a couple opinions on the matter, let's just say. This is titled Major Secret Service Leak Exposes the Truth About Trump's Secret Plane Disaster. And this is, again, a little bit more about the speculation of the security concerns surrounding his Qatari jet and why he had to, again, switch and flip back and forth between the old Air Force One, or what is now known as the old Air Force One, and the Qatari jet. So this is a little bit from Jen and Pumps. Much appreciated for them, and thank you guys for hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel. Again, I just want to catch a couple minutes of what they have to say about this whole mess, about this whole fiasco, and what's going on with this plane, and how it's ridiculous how much we've spent, and it's still not suitable for use in any serious situation, which is something that is necessary, you'd think, for an Air Force One to be labeled an Air Force One, to be in practice as Air Force One. But again, they're just going to roll around with all of these different planes, apparently add added cost to the American taxpayer, just in case he needs to flip from one to the other. You know what I mean? Let's see what they got to say here.
Old, obese, and out of shape. Here's a video of Trump struggling, literally on the struggle bus, getting back on his old Air Force One, because there's a big scandal of brewing with the Qatari plane that a lot of people are saying it was a bribe. Play the clip. Here he is. I mean, just death clench on the stair rail, getting on. I just can't believe when I see that's the president of our country.
No, it's so embarrassing. And he had to be like strolled around. This was to date. Every day it seems it gets worse. But his failing cognitive and physical ability, it was so pronounced in every.
Oh, and that reminds me, I did do my due diligence, and I did try to upload the sound of him calling it the Republic of Japan, but I don't think the volume for some reason didn't filter over, so it's really hard to hear.
Islamic Republic of Japan.
We also got this one.
JCPOC.
Yep, the JCPOC. You know what I mean? The Joint Comprehensive Plan of Cock. Apparently, if you ask Donald Trump, that's what it stands for. But I'm sure a lot of people have not yet heard of the new country on the planet. This one is great.
Islamic Republic of Japan.
Yep, that's the one. That's the one where they say things like "Konnichiwa, wallahi." Apparently, I've heard. I haven't been there, haven't studied much about the country, but that's apparently what people are saying in the chat. That's what people are saying. Konnichiwa, wallahi.
Press conference, and every time they were walking, taking pictures. I mean, we are on the fast track downhill.
You mean the Islamic Republic of Japan?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Islamic Republic of Japan.
Right. Okay. Aside from his clear physical deterioration. Rumors started swirling about why Trump wasn't using the $400 million Qatari jet that he debuted last week. And I want to remind you, while Americans are going through all of the stuff that we're going through, he has abysmal polling rating. Only the cultists. That's it. Those are the only people that support him, the craziest people among us that are brainwashed and propagandized.
As I keep telling you guys, the longer and longer this stretches on, the worse and worse this MAGA death cult becomes, the more sycophantic the people that are supporting it become. Okay, that's just the nature of the beast. That's how it goes. Same thing as I continue to say. I know I've beaten this like a dead horse to this point, but just like the people that were surrounding Hitler in the bunker at the end of World War II, that have long known or should have long known that the game was over. Okay, the jig was up as far as that was concerned. There was no more military to move around. There was no more defense of Berlin. There was no more, let's do this and do that, and we could change this whole war around and finally get the Russians on the back foot. Nothing like that was going to take place, and they fucking knew it. But because they couldn't see themselves, and they couldn't see themselves in a world without Adolf Hitler or without National Socialism, that's what they were determined to do. They were going to ride that ship down like the fucking Titanic, sitting right there with the violinist until that thing hit the bottom of the ocean and they took their last breath. Well, these are the people that we've seen in the Good Liars videos. Jordan Klepper has showed us a lot of these people. Well, that's more and more likely what's left. There are less and less, if any at all, that are going to be peeled off kind of the surrounding, the leading edges of this that, just kind of follow it for one thing or another. But, you can maybe kind of get through to them in a conversation. Those people don't exist no more. Okay, that's far and long gone as far as that's concerned. The people left are the people that want the mass deportations, that want more bombing inside of Iran, that are desperate to take over Greenland, that want to see him go into Cuba, all of these things that hate Ukraine. The sickest of the sick people that are going to be left are the maggots right now still supporting Donald Trump.
Support him. He is doing this big unveiling of his jet and the art of the deal. Well, the art of the deal goes something like this. He takes the jet. He has our taxpayer money retrofitted for how he wants it. And then the military, the Secret Service, everybody's like, this isn't going to work. We're not safe here. And then also new reports.
And that's exactly what the fuck's going on. He had his plane that was bribed to him by the Qataris. Right? Let's not go back and associate all of the different fucking criminalities and little shady dealings associated with Donald Trump, Jared Kushner, and people in the Middle East. But, this latest one, the Qatari jet, the $400 million that U.S. taxpayers paid to refurbish to Donald Trump's specifications so that he could take it with him. If and when he ever decides to leave his orange ass out of that fucking golden White House he's created and the bunker that he's building, right? He decides to do that, then he's going to take this jet with him that we fucking paid for and that has been deemed by the Secret Service or by some other administration that's protecting him that it's not worthy of the U.S. president flying around. You can't fly around in that. The danger is too real. We don't have the necessary communications. We don't have the necessary weapons platforms and things to detect different munitions. None of that is associated with this plane or on this plane. We don't know if there's still fucking Qatari bugs on here or cameras watching. I mean, you could do your best, I'm sure, but it looks like a big fucking plane. I'm sure there's a lot of different places that the Qataris or somebody else affiliated with them could have hid some sort of recording device or some sort of, really high profile, hard to find different listening or recording or audio or visual device. All of these things that they have to worry about that he's going to take with them after you paid for it. On your fixed income, you paid for this jet for him to take it home with him and associate it to his fucking ugly goddamn library that he's never read a book in and will never read a book in and has never read a book in his life. You know what I mean? So all of those things are true. And now it's being determined through these different, rumors that are circulated and people that are speculating as to why this switch happened, that it's not fit for purpose. Okay. It's not fit for the president of the United States in certain circumstances. And if it's not fit for the president in certain circumstances, then fuck it. Okay. It can't be used. We're not just tagging around 3, 4, 5 different planes at taxpayer cost so that he can pick and choose which one's best for him at that very moment based upon who he's pissed off in the world and how many people are threatening his fucking life.
Reporting is exposing a cover-up by the Trump administration about the new Air Force One. Pop this up. Security precaution led Trump to use old Air Force One in leaving Turkey. The Secret Service is said to have asked that the president not use the Qatari donated jet when he left Ankara. The swap deepens questions about the retrofitting of the new plane. And I just have a question, like, can Congress vote that we actually spend the money on this? The fact that he just is always acting unilaterally for his own best interest is very, very troublesome. But it gets even deeper. According to the New York Times, lawmakers and some officials have raised concerns about whether the expedited timeline that Trump pushed through allowed for the addition of an advanced missile defense system and other modifications used to protect the president. Okay.
Like I said, if you can't communicate with the outside world, if you can't be commander in chief, if every bit of other communication is cut off, if you can't control the country from the Air Force, from Air Force One, if everything else goes to shit, then it's fucking useless. Okay. It's absolutely useless. If you can't detect an incoming missile, it's absolutely fucking useless. So, I mean, again, we can speculate as to why, but with the reports that went out, it's clear that they found something wasn't fit. It wasn't fit for purpose, wasn't up to par, wasn't up to standards, and needed and required the president to fly on the older, more secure, more apt for whatever fucking situation they find themselves in Air Force One.
Here's what happened. He's like, I want my plane. I want my plane. I want my plane. I don't care. This is the date. Do it. Nobody around him will say no because they were chosen because of their idiocy and how submissive they are. To be qualified to work for Donald Trump, sexual abuser, fantastic. No backbone whatsoever, even better. A completely submissive beta male or beta female, ding, 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 ding. That's our winner. And why are we retrofitting?
Every single person surrounding Donald Trump is either a cuck or related to a cuck of Donald Trump, or somebody that has turned completely from calling him, I don't know, America's Hitler, or calling him I mean, remember some of the shit that Marco Rubio used to say about Donald Trump, right? What do you say about Trump Tower? Something
builds the wall the way he built Trump Towers, he'll be using illegal immigrant labor to do it.
If he builds Trump Tower like he built the wall, or he builds the wall like he built Trump Tower, he's going to be using illegal immigrant labor to do it. Is something that, used to be espoused by people like Marco Rubio. Let's see here. There was a couple other ones, I believe. Let's see here. Marco Rubio, what did he have to say? I think he said that there was like a con man going to take.
I can just tell you that a con artist is about to take over the Republican Party and the conservative movement, and we have to put a stop to it.
Which they didn't put a stop to it. And not only did he not put a stop to it, he's actually now working hand in hand, side by side with that same fascist dictator that he again wants to espouse all these beliefs. There was this one as well.
He's calling me Little Marco. And I'll admit, the guy, he's taller than me. He's like 6'2", which is why I don't understand why his hands are the size of someone who's 5'2".
So making fun of Donald Trump's hands. And again, I don't have the soundbite here from J.D. Vance calling him America's Hitler, but I think you guys get the idea of, how these people have turned and changed based off of proximity to power. New reports out about Kash Patel and how he's kind of, wielded his power and gone way above and beyond it, using his proximity to power and all of the pomp and circumstance surrounding his position as well. So a lot of these sycophants, a lot of these assholes, just careerists, like something that you'll hear in a lot of the documentaries, a lot of the World War II movies about the Nazis. You'll hear a lot of them calling each other careerist, ruthless careerists, which is just the people that know what's going on is wrong, don't espouse the National Socialist beliefs like everybody else, but know that if they pretend to, they can get the proximity to power. The closer they get to power, the closer they get to Hitler, the more benefits they see from that, the more wealth they can accrue. Same mindset here, same bullshit as you see in here.
A plane with defense missiles for a guy who says he's going to take it with him when he leaves the presidency. The corruption just on this alone is enough to end a presidency, but we just keep going and going. This is before we even get to all the stock trades, and my kids have all this great insider information, so they're able to make billions on stocks. Barron, who's like 19, is worth $200 million. It's just utterly corrupt. This is a crime spree. The White House is a crime.
And again, this fucking, this little prick, right? And everybody's like, oh, leave Barron alone. Fuck Barron. Fuck Barron Trump. He's got a mouth. He's got a mind, right? If he wanted to speak out against what his family is associated with, what they're perpetrating against the American people, if he wanted to do something to call out his father, he fucking could. Okay, he's got the ability to do so. He's not a mute as much as his family tries to get you to believe he is. So to see that his net worth at this point in time has climbed to about $200 or so million, that you guys on fixed incomes are struggling day after day after day, not only to live your daily lives, but to support things that you guys are passionate about, whether it be this channel or other communities, other accounts, fundraisers, different organizations. Like, how can you put that together as these motherfuckers are walking away with billions, right? Your friends, your family, your children, your grandchildren, I'm sure, talking to you about how ridiculously impossible it is to purchase a home at any age, never mind a young age anymore, at any fucking age, right? I'm sure you guys have noticed how difficult it's become for you guys to make ends meet. Regardless of what you think your pay has increased. It hasn't met the levels of inflation. It hasn't met the levels in which the cost of living has increased by any stretch of the imagination. And that's a problem that's been going on for fucking generations. So to see this, wealth being accrued by these cocksuckers, right? These billionaire 1% Epstein class bastards should piss you the fuck off. And as I continue to say, we're just not pissed off enough in this country as we continue to be raped, pillaged, and plundered by this administration and everybody involved in it.
Syndicate worse than the worst mob bosses we've ever seen in this country.
I completely agree. And here's the thing. The United States taxpayer has already paid $1 billion.
Alex, hey, same, brother. Same. I'm right there with you. I mean, again, it'd be a long list if I told you everything that I didn't have and couldn't afford right now as an American, trying to bust his ass, bringing everybody the news and, trying to raise awareness on all of these very important topics. So, I'm right there with you guys. I'm absolutely right there with you.
Dollars for this gifted plane that was used by the Qatari government. And I'll just say this. My guess is you're 100% right about, I want my plane. But I would take it one step further and say the people that Trump chooses to do these type things.
And I wouldn't put it beyond the realm of possibility for Donald Trump specifically not saying and telling people that he didn't want this plane outfitted with all of the necessities, with all of the requirements, with all of the gear and technology that an Air Force One would need. Okay, I guarantee you he had it done to his own personal specifications. He knew that it would take a considerable time longer if he had to do all of the correct upgrades to make this purpose fit for a president to fly in any situation. So I will guarantee you he almost specifically said not to do the particular things necessary so that he could get it in a quicker period of time. He could use it for a few flights, and then he could keep it, the upkeep going on American taxpayers' dime until he eventually, gets out of office and he can take this thing home with him. You know what I mean? And he's always got the other Air Force One to rely upon. So again, the fraud and the con just never ends as far as that's concerned. There was one more just to kind of beat this like a dead horse, and then we'll go into some of the Ukraine coverage that I have as well. But I just want to see if there was anything else, any other information coming out of this. This was a quick CNN segment talking about the switch between planes. And I was just curious if Caitlin Collins or anybody else that was in this had any other insights or information as to what actually took place and what the threats really were. Again, a lot of people, probably rightly speculating that it was threats made by either Iranians or proxies, considering how close he was to the area as far as being in Turkey. But again, I don't think there's been anything definitively said that I've heard, at least. So I just want to go through just a couple minutes of this. We may even skip through to the from the beginning to the end, just to see if there's anything else in here.
He loves his new jumbo jet that was gifted to him by the Qatari government. So why is he now taking the old version of Air Force One again? That's the question that a lot of reporters are asking today, especially after the president flew on the new plane to the NATO summit in Turkey, but flew back from Turkey on the NATO summit on the old version of Air Force One. The president said that the new Qatari jet was being sent ahead of time to a military base in the United Kingdom so members of the United States military could tour it and see just exactly what it looks like on the inside.
Yeah, just millions of dollars of taxpayers wasted and everything that's associated and goes with and alongside of this type of plane, this type of aircraft, going anywhere. So that, again, people apparently in an RAF base could come out and see the aircraft and just clap as it went by, apparently, take a picture with their cell phone. Again, the exorbitant costs associated with moving these planes anywhere. It's not just the planes. I think everybody understands that. It's not just Air Force One that goes by itself. It's helicopters. It's different, support planes. It's a lot that's involved and associated with getting Air Force One, especially two of them, to go anywhere as far as international flights are concerned. Even domestic flights is a huge undertaking in and of itself. Depending on where you're going, what airport you have to go to, how far you have to travel from that airport means you have to bring the vehicles with you. So all of the other support systems that go along with those, the Secret Service.
We saw President Trump land.
So again, I just want to see if there's anything else here.
At that same military base where he walked from the old Air Force One to the new Air Force One. You can tell a difference in the old color scheme on that plane versus the new red, white, and blue one that he put on the new Qatari plane. Now, the White House said that this was because the president wanted members of the military to be able to see it for themselves. But the president himself was also asked whether or not it had to do with
bullshit. Bullshit. God, I get tickle in my throat just all the time. Anytime that Donald Trump says anything, it's like I get that automatic bullshit tickle in my throat. It's crazy.
Security issues or concerns about his own personal safety. This is what he told reporters.
I'd like you to address speculation that you're leaving.
Again, we don't have to go through too much of this because you're not going to get a definitive answer for him. But I think there was somebody at the end of this, if I recall, that may have had some more insight as to what was going on, possibly. Let me see if it was this gentleman here.
Senior law enforcement analyst Jonathan Wackrow. Does this make any sense to you at all that the president would not fly on the brand new plane, which he is very pleased with and has been hotly anticipating, because he wanted to send it to an Air Force base in the UK because the entire base really wanted to see it and tour it?
Well, Anderson,
you hear how ridiculous it sounds when somebody else other than Donald Trump says it, right? So do you think it's possible? Do you think it's plausible that we sent this, billion-dollar aircraft that takes millions and millions and millions of dollars of things associated with it and surrounding it to fly it anywhere, to send it to the RAF base in the UK, just so that people, again, could fucking clap as it went by and to take a picture with their cell phone? They deserve it, right? It's going to be my personal plane, but they deserve to gawk at it at least, right? Me sending them to their deaths, me saying that, me using them as like political pawns and wielding them around the fucking planet as my own personal military force. The least I could do is show them the plane that I fly around in, right?
Night. Good evening. And my read on this is that the switch was likely driven by an operational confidence in the new aircraft against the backdrop of these increased hostilities between the U.S. and Iran. So for decision.
Again, begs the question as to the usefulness of the plane. If in a situation where, push comes to shove, they have no confidence in using this aircraft, what the fuck did we just spend billions of dollars in refitting it for? You know what I mean? So this guy could have his free bribe to take home, tax-free on taxpayer dimes to fly for the rest of his fucking godforsaken days. I said it silently. I did say it silently. YouTube can't say anything. But let's see. I'm curious what else they have to say, because obviously it's ridiculous and clearly it's about OPSEC or security in some way, shape, or form.
Makers. The question became, which aircraft gives the president the most secure, the most reliable, and resilient platform while they're overseas? And there is a significant distinction between these two Air Force One aircraft. The legacy aircraft, which is the traditional baby blue color, that was purpose-built from the ground up as a presidential mission.
Hey, what do you know? It has actually its mission, its stated mission, its intended mission from the day it was fucking conceived, from the time it went into action, was to be Air Force One. Was to make sure it had every platform necessary, all of the radar, all of the jamming platforms necessary, all of the munition detecting systems, all of that they need to be able to, again, do everything that goes along with being the president of the United States while you're at fucking 35,000, 40,000 feet, whatever it may be at that point in time. The thinking went into the building that plane. The Qatari jet, no, just what Donald Trump wanted as far as curtains, how many couches he wanted in there, how gold he wanted it to be. And then when that was done, all of that, he said, okay, that's enough. Don't make it, we don't want to actually use it as Air Force One. That would be ridiculous. If we actually outfitted for Air Force One, then the next president may get the wrong idea that they get to use this, or the government may get the wrong idea and say, we should continue to use this type thing, which again would be asinine considering where it came from anyway. But, the maniacal thinkings of a guy with dementia, probably not the most logical, right? So never think logically when you're trying to figure out what Donald Trump is thinking. But all right, that's enough of that. Like, it's clear to people that know anything about the situation that, the refurbishment of the plane was not up to par, was not up to the standards necessary for the president of the United States or Air Force One by any stretch of the imagination. And I guess we're just going to continue to have to use two of them to double the cost to the United States taxpayer under Donald Trump's remainder of time in his second term here. But all right, big night, big happenings going on for Ukraine as far as the Russian Shadow Fleet. Not that one, but this one. This is a Professor Gertis Explains video where, as you can see here, he's titling this, I Need a Bigger Thumbnail. which is detailing the amount of Russian Shadow Fleet tankers that have been hit by the Ukrainians in, I believe, the last 72, 90-ish so hours around there. So before we get into Professor's video, which is titled 14 More Russian Shadow Fleet Ships Hit Last Night, I think I have a post here from Robert Brovdi, Robert Magyar of 414 Magda's Birds, which I want to see here, which says that 14 vessels hit overnight on July 9th in the Sea of Azov by the birds of the Unmanned Systems Forces. He says the Worms Shadow Fleet keeps shrinking. 35. Like, that's crazy. That's insane. 35 different tankers, cargo ships, and auxiliary vessels have been struck in the last 96 hours. And here's the full timeline. Overnight, deep behind enemy lines in occupied Crimea and the southern occupied territories, the birds of the Unmanned Systems Forces struck 45 military targets. That is just... It's crazy. 45 separate military targets there. Among the wide range of targets across Crimea were the Saki thermal power plant, 3 fuel storage sites, 2 logistic bases, a Zytel electronic warfare station, communications towers, enemy transport and logistics hubs, fuel trucks, and 14 vessels from Russia's Shadow Fleet, 12 tankers, 1 cargo ship, and 1 tugboat. All were in the Sea of Azov. The Shadow Fleet weight loss timeline. Basically, now they're reporting it like the Nazi submarine campaign in the Atlantic. How many tons of shipping they've been able to take down. So this says on 6/7, so the 6th of July, 2026, 2 tankers, Captain Barman and the Sarnar 3. On the 7th, which was 2 days ago, 10 vessels, 8 tankers, 1 cargo ship, and 1 ferry. Here are the names of those. On the 8th of July was 9 vessels. On the 9th of July was 14 different vessels, 12 tankers, 1 cargo ship, and 1 tugboat. I mean, just continuing to hammer away at basically all aspects of Russia's fuel, oil delivery systems, refining systems, transportation systems, export systems, anything that they possibly can. And we've seen it have huge impact and huge effect. And this was, again, associated and posted with these different videos here showing the effective strikes by the Unmanned Systems Forces there on these different targets. So I just wanted to show you exactly the extent and how many different vehicles and targets and ships and cargo ships and everything else have been targeted just by, what Magyar Robert Brovdi is posting here. So let's get back into this professor's video. I think he details some more of the Ukrainian strikes as well, not just these, not just the strikes on the ships. And then I think after this, what's the next one I have? Oh, is the military show about the about what's taking place in and around Kharkiv. So I want to dive into what's going on around there, because the vehicle that we have just been responsible for raising is going to the 3rd Operational Battalion, the artillery platoon fighting in the Lipsy direction, which is just north of Kharkiv. So I'm very curious as to what's happening in that surrounding area as well. And then I thought I had another video. The military show was that one. And then RFU News has one as well. So we'll see how much we can get through here. Ton to talk about, ton to look up. Let's see here. This is the professor. Let's see if he can take it away. My appreciation for you guys watching this show. Thank you for taking the time out of your day. I don't know why I just turned Irish, but hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get into a little bit of the effective strikes and the amount of targets that the Ukrainians have hit over the last, I think it was about 96 hours or so, as they say.
It's Thursday, July 9th, 2026. Another 14 ships hit in the Sea of Azov. It's just amazing. Ukrainians created the conditions that required the Russians to load up these oil tankers and ship them over to Crimea because they were starving for fuel. And then they just kind of lined them up and took them out. It's pretty amazing. Let's look at the overnight strikes here. So here's Drone Bombers map, and we're going to look at a couple different.
Again, we've seen this time and time again as to the launches and the directions of the Ukrainian drones and missiles that went out in the direction of either Crimea or into Russia or the occupied territories. And you can see here very substantial strikes being launched into the southern portion there, whether it be Kherson or down into Crimea. So I'll let him kind of detail what happened with a lot of these strikes here, but you can definitely see, as per the depiction there of the launches and where they were heading, the targets, being kind of, singled out by the Ukrainians.
Places going up this way toward Ver. Here's Moscow, just so for reference. And then we're going to go down this way and into another refinery. And then also there's hits in the Sea of Azov. Okay. So, by the way, let's look at this. There was 270 drones going out last night. Okay. 12 enemy tankers plus a tugboat plus a dry cargo ship. An oil terminal and ammunition depot, actually multiple oil terminals have been hit, and ammunition depot. I'll show you all of that. So let's start with this. Ukraine hit 14 vessels overnight. I was talking about 9 last night and 10 the day before, or 9 yesterday, 10 the day before. The numbers just keep adding up. In fact, my next video, I'm going to talk about Russia's official response to all of this, and I'll do all the math of how many have been hit and why, that sort of thing. Ukraine hit 14 vessels overnight, fresh blitz on Moscow's maritime logistics in the Sea of Azov, including 12 tankers from Putin's sanctioned Shadow Fleet. Here's some video of it. I sped the video up intentionally so that you could see just how, the strike after strike. Unmanned systems forces released footage confirming strikes on 14 Russian vessels in the Sea of Azov overnight, including 12 tankers, a cargo ship, a tugboat. Commander Magyar said 35 Shadow Fleet support vessels were hit over 96 hours. And I'll get...
And again, that's not even it. You can see here as he goes on to talk about the different oil depots that were hit. This says an oil depot on fire in Tyvr on the territory of the Russian fascist invaders, 800 kilometers from Kyiv. Here's another one. An oil depot is on fire in the Mikhailovsk, Stavropol Krai on the territory of the Russian fascist invaders. And it just continues to go on talking about the long-range sanctions. Warriors are carrying out long-range sanctions planned in response to Russia's dragging out the war. SSU Warriors struck 2 oil depots in Stavropol and the other in Tyvr, which is both about 500 kilometers from the front line. An oil pumping station in Russia's Ufa, nearly 1,500 kilometers from our border, also came under sanctions. An oil loading terminal in the Rostov region, also about 200 kilometers from the front line, was sanctioned as well. And it just continues. Ammunition depots. Ukrainian attack drones hit a Russian ammunition dump in Luhansk Oblast overnight, setting it on fire. The ammunition dump slowly cooks off, as you can see. Let's see if he plays the video.
Right? Yeah. So there's that.
You can hear the munitions going off in the background as well. And then he's got this one, judging by NASA firms data from all 3 Russian refineries hit by Ukrainian forces last night. The days of striking one valuable section of an oil facility per night are over. Satellite imagery confirming multiple hits on each of the Saratov, the Nizhnekamsk, and the Ufa refineries, detailing, again, like they said, not just one section, not just the, the most valuable section or something that would knock it out for the longest period of time being targeted, but just, mainstream, widespread targeting of these oil refineries as well. There was also the Kerch. Near the Kerch was struck. It says damage to the oil terminal in Kerch is visible on its satellite footage. The central tank farm is completely destroyed. We've showed this on Google Maps before as to the proximity to the Kerch bridge itself. And you can see here the oil spill in the water as it looks like. So definitely, evidence of something being struck there. Here's another one. Ukraine's Air Force reports shooting down a Russian Su-35 fighter on 8 July in the eastern direction. It confirmed it would be the 9th Su-35 lost during the war. You can go on and see here that Noel report says that Ukraine's Firepoint has assembled the first 10 test samples of its own turbojet engine for the FP5 Flamingo cruise missile. Chief engineer Denis Steilerman said that the company has developed the engine and will gradually transition from the Soviet AI-25 or AL-25 currently used in the system. So again, good news anytime that they're able to advance their technologies as well. There was Air Force and Ukraine's Air Force and Russia launched 2 Iskander-M ballistic missiles and 94 drones overnight. Air defense was down to suppressed 72 of those drones. The military reported impacts from 2 ballistic missiles and 19 drones across 13 locations across Ukraine. Obviously, the Patriots and the anti-ballistic missile systems are something that are heavily and desperately needed by the Ukrainians, as we've seen that uptick come from the Russians as far as the utilization of those ballistic missiles. It says that Russia killed 4 people and wounded 7 others in a missile strike on Odessa Oblast. The strike sparked fires at an industrial facility and a gas station, and rescuers from Ukraine's State Emergency Service quickly extinguished them. We'll just continue on here with the reporting. As the world talks, Russia keeps bombing Ukraine every day. Today, ballistic missiles strike killed 4 in Odessa. You can see here this posted by Maria Avdiva. And this is detailing what looks to be a public transport bus that was struck by the Russians as well. This was Russia killed 2 people and wounded 42 others, including 4 children, in a strike in Kharkiv. Ukraine State Emergency Service completed rescue operations at the site, deploying rescue teams, sappers, and high-altitude riggers. State Emergency Services of Ukraine were responsible for those photographs that you're now seeing. And this is detailing, obviously, the Russian losses over the last 24 hours. We are now at 1.414 million Russian soldiers eliminated from the battlefield, another 1,310 in the last 24 hours. Another 7 tanks, another 3 armored fighting vehicles, 59 artillery systems, 4 MLRSs, 1 air defense system, another 1,843 UAVs and drones, 4 unmanned ground vehicles, another aircraft, which was that Su-35. The 363 vehicles and fuel tanks continues to show Ukraine's ability to continue to strike the resupply vehicles and the 4 special pieces of equipment as well. Goes on to talk about Russia's war against Ukraine, July 9th, 2026. Casualties above average, while engagements remain about around average. Gains of 2 square kilometers confirmed. Equipment losses including 7 tanks and Su-35 that we just talked about. Overnight attacks, drone interception rate could be better. 2 Iskander-M missiles got through. MLRS strikes above average, 13 strikes and 270 drones, including jet-powered ones, launched into Russia. So just the back and forth that we saw from the 2 sides last night. Looks like the Ukrainians are still able to put up consistently more missiles and drones going into Russia and occupied territories than the Russians are able to throw back at them. Again, that doesn't take away from the effect that they have and the damage that they can, that they can produce by any stretch of the imagination. But, as far as the technological and numerical advancements in this war, looks like the edge continues to go to the Ukrainians. And hopefully once we start seeing, as promised, the licensing rights go to the Ukrainians as far as producing the Patriot missiles, that would be a huge boost. And even if even if it does seem like those things are going to be in the works, it might be able to, and it might allow the Ukrainians to, I don't know if they'd pull them from different positions that they have them in, because I'm sure they have them in the most important positions. But, as they start getting more and more of these air defenses, they can utilize them in different ways, knowing that at some point, hopefully sooner than later, they'll be able to produce these at a much higher rate, much quicker, much more effectively in their own country by their own people, and to produce them and then put them into the field. So that will have an impact in a way that they utilize the stockpile that they have maybe before all of the production goes into effect as well. So let me see if we can jump into the I think it was the military show vehicle. Yeah, this is just talking a little bit about the ships that were wiped out as well. Let me throw this on the screen, and then I want to get into, I think, a little bit about what's going on in and around Kharkiv as well, if I leave myself enough time. But this is from the military show. This says Ukraine just wiped out 10 Russian ships overnight. And they usually do a pretty good job at explaining these and utilizing different pieces of footage and ways of showing you exactly what happened. So let's see if we can jump into, again, a little bit of this video from the military show. Ukraine just wiped out 10 Russian ships overnight, and see what other details we can get from this. Appreciate you guys. Hit that like button.
Here's a question for you. If you have a fleet of ships and you're facing an enemy that has no navy, what do you do? If you're Russia, you lose anyway. After 4 years of naval humiliation at the hands of Ukraine, Russia must have thought that it couldn't get much worse. Russia was wrong. In a huge night for Ukraine, Russia's Shadow Fleet armada has been turned into the most pathetic collection of submarines imaginable. 10 ships are down, wiped out by a devastating overnight attack. This wasn't just a lethal attack by Ukraine, it was a message to Putin, telling him that none of his ships will ever be safe again. The Shadow Fleet is leaving the chat, blared the commander of Ukraine's unmanned systems forces, Robert Brovdy, in a Telegram post published in the wake of a devastating Ukrainian drone operation that initially destroyed 8 of Russia's Shadow Fleet tankers and then went on to take out 2 more, just for good luck. The air-sea battle on the night of July 7th reached an industrial level of fishing. A group of 8 tankers with fuel, 1 dry cargo ship and 1 ferry, Brovdy revealed, adding, "The fuel tanks are badly damaged, burning. Sanctions from the sky of the freedom-loving Ukrainian birds of the SBS are in effect." And just like that, we learned about what may well be the most impressive naval operation that Ukraine has pulled off during its war against Russia. Ukraine is a nation without a traditional navy. Outside of a few patrol ships and mine warfare vessels, Ukraine doesn't have warships that it can use to go toe-to-toe with Russia's fleet.
Still an unbelievable feat. I mean, not to just kick the Russian fleet out of its position in the beginnings, in the early stages of this war, but to continue to be able to harass their shipping channels, their resupply efforts, their tankers, their shadow fleet without a fucking navy, utilizing the sea drones, utilizing different air platforms as well, of course, is just, it's a sight to behold. It really is. And goes to show you just how effective the drone warfare can be, the unmanned systems warfare can be and will be in warfare for quite some time to come, and how it would be smart and prudent upon a lot of these militaries around the world, and in particular ours, to be as closely associated and affiliated with these advancements as humanly possible, so we don't get left behind in the dust. But to again see that a country with no navy is taking out this many ships, this many seaborne vessels, and the Russians seem to have no mitigatory tactics to stop it, is chef's fucking kiss. Slava Ukraini.
But it doesn't need them. As we've seen so many times before, Ukraine's flying sanctions have done the damage, and Russia has been reminded once again that neither the Black Sea nor the Sea of Azov are safe for any of its ships. What a reminder it was. Here's the breakdown. Every single one of the fuel tankers that Ukraine's drones struck leading up to July 7th is under international sanctions. Each has a dead weight of about 7,000 tons, was built between 2006 and 2016, and measures about 140 meters long. That uniformity makes the ships that Russia is using to transport its illicit oil easy for Ukraine to spot. It also reveals that these aren't the massive tankers that are making international voyages to the nations that are buying Russian oil at massive discounts. They serve a different role, and we're going to be covering what that is soon. Before that, a roll call. The 8 tankers that Ukraine destroyed were the Sanar 1, Sanar 17, Venus 3, Teti, Klimena, Penelope, Alexei Savrasov, and the MS Ivan Cheremisinov. Brovdi revealed.
Again, all geolocated, all with video evidence to substantiate, to confirm these strikes. We got the names. We know the vessels. We know their descriptions. We know the heights, the sizes, the capabilities of what they could carry. So this is nothing that the Russians are going to be able to get out of, as far as calling it a lie, saying that it's not true, saying that they don't have these capabilities. There's too much evidence to go along with the unmanned the unmanned systems forces to prove all of these different strikes, to say to their Russian people that this isn't something that's actually taken place.
That makes 8. And a few hours after his initial report, Brovdi said that Ukraine added 2 more to its tanker total to make 10. Throw the ferry and the dry cargo ship that Brovdi mentioned in his initial post into the mix, and you get a perfect dozen of Russian ships that have just been turned into submarines by Ukraine's unmanned systems forces. This wasn't any old attack. It was precise, coordinated, lethal. A message that has been sent to Putin and his cronies that the tankers and ferries that he has turned into shadow fleet vessels to try to skirt sanctions are now targets whenever they come within range of Ukraine's drones. This was a complete...
And that reminds me, it seems like there's more coming from, I don't know, I think we played it on this show. I forget now, we play so much stuff, but I'm sure we covered it to some extent. Kaylin Robertson's, and yes, we did cover it on the show, now that I recall. Kaylin Robertson's reporting coming from Ireland about the alumina that is still being shipped by, a Russian plant that is there, Russian vessels taking that to and fro to, again, contribute to the war effort there. So it seems like there's some movement going on Kaylin's reporting, his investigating that went into that as well. I'll see if I can look into that for the next show to see what's come from that. But I did see one of his posts that looked like, there was at least some government involvement now in trying to, or at least calling for, an investigation into, the supplying and the continued funding of the Russian war effort by these different entities in different countries throughout the world that are being run specifically by Russia and Russians to do just that, to help continue the war effort. So great to see that, the the investigative reporting that Kalin was responsible for is leading to hopefully some further action and more crackdown on Russia's ability to fund this war. But again, this is going directly to hinder and hamper all of their resupply efforts. As they said in this video, these ships are very specific as to what they're trying to do, where they're trying to resupply, and why they're doing it. These aren't the transatlantic getting fuel and delivering fuel to different areas and countries that they're affiliated. These are ships trying to get the resupply, trying to get the fuel, trying to get the things down into Crimea to the people that are desperately needing that right now. We've taken a look at a ton of the videos from Russians down in Crimea and how they're suffering right now as well from the fuel and gas shortages. But let's just see if there was some other aspects. I think he's going on here to see how they went about this mission. And then afterwards, I'll finish out with this, and I'll let you guys go after a little bit of this RFU news update about what's taking place in and around Kharkiv, which is, again, somewhere that, hopeful, fingers crossed, if I'm fortunate enough not to just get to Kyiv, but hopefully my goal is to travel further east to do some, to do some reporting, to do some, fact-finding missions, to tell you guys what's actually taking place on the ground here, how people are living their daily lives, what they're living under. If I'm fortunate enough to do that, you guys will see all of the reports. You guys will be with me every step of the way. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you do want to follow along on my upcoming journey to deliver vehicles to the armed forces of Ukraine. I would really appreciate the support. And again, if you could just hit that like button, if you even just share the stream out, that would be fantastic. But we'll finish it up on this one. I just want to go into a little bit more from this military show, talking about the strikes on the Shadow fleet here and how effective the Ukrainians have been in attacking these, and how Russia has no answer for it right now. Play.
Annihilation of Russian logistics in a region where Putin really needs those logistics to be flowing as smoothly as possible. And it was those drones and their operators that were the stars of the show. Ukraine's strategy was brilliant. The footage that has emerged from the attack shows the same thing over and over again. A drone approaches a tanker, leveling the vessel in its sights before diving down and detonating. Often, we see that the ships that these drones strike are already on fire. That tells us that Ukraine unleashed a swarm. One drone per vessel wasn't the approach here. Ukraine hit over and over again to take out tankers that are
Great fucking point. Again, we can continue to talk about technological advancements, but the numerical advancements as well. Not only the ability that these new weapons platforms have, whether we're talking about the Flamingo, the FP1, any of the recent developments that they have as far as air drones or even ground drones that we've talked about on this show. But the ability to go after all of these targets at once, not just a night spent going after oil refineries, not just a night spent going after the resupply efforts in Crimea. Like, we're not talking about picking and choosing what they go after now. And it's not just, hey, one drone per tanker. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We tried our best. It's multiple now swarms going after these vessels, strike after strike after strike. This simultaneously taking place as Crimea, different land targets inside Crimea being hit. That taking place simultaneously as other, systems forces are going after targets inside of Russia as far as oil refineries. That taking place as drone operators are going and attacking Russian, logistic systems and targets inside of occupied Luhansk and Donetsk. Like, all of these things are now taking place simultaneously, and it's, again, it shows the momentum clearly on the side in favoring the Ukrainians as far as drone technology, drone advancements, and the numerical, the superiority that they have as far as these systems are concerned as well. And that's only hopefully going to increase as the days continue, and as as Ukraine becomes more affiliated with, as they become more comfortable with, and technologically savvy with all of the things that they have to be savvy about in this war.
Vital to Russia's war machine. But there's something else that the footage shows us, as Defense Express reveals in its recap of Ukraine's drone strikes. Each of the drones that Ukraine used had a specific target on the ships that they attacked. They hit the deck houses, which are defined as any enclosed structures projecting above the weather deck of the vessel. Deck houses are exposed and often surrounded by a flat deck on either side, making them clear targets to strike. Why does this matter? According to Defense Express, targeting the tanker's deck houses means that the drones were looking to simultaneously take out each ship's bridge, engine room, and the oil tanks they are carrying as cargo. And it worked. We see that from the flames rising up from so many of the ships that came into the Ukrainian drones' sights. As for the drones...
So again, that's a little bit about the tactics used and obviously the efficacy of these different unmanned systems forces that are continuously hammering away at the Russian Shadow Fleet and their ability to resupply Crimea. Like I said, I just want to jump into, if I can, if you'll allow me, a little bit of this RFU news video to get us out of here. And again, this is an update in the Kharkiv region, what's taking place there, and some recent Ukrainian successes, I believe he's going to detail. So after this, I'll get you guys out of here. Stick around, though, so I can thank each and every one of you that sent in a Venmo, that utilized PayPal or Cash App or sent in a Super Chat. All of you guys at the end of every single podcast. In case you're just joining us for the first time, I just want you to know at the end of every single show, I stick around so we can thank and highlight and congratulate and appreciate every single person that kicks in, whether it's a cent or whether it's more than a cent. Every single person is just as important to me. So, all right, let's go through just a couple minutes of this. And like I said, more specifically, talking about on the front in the Kharkiv direction. So let's take a look. Appreciate you guys. Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava. Thank you to all the Barnacles sticking around to the end of the show. I can't tell you how much it means for you guys to not only watch this show for all of the domestic things that we talk about, but all of the foreign aspects and foreign topics that we have to get into and are passionate about as well. So much appreciated. Lots of love, lots of respect to you guys in the community. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Again, this is RFU News, titled Ukrainian Assault Teams Erase One Russian Infiltration Effort After Another, which is obviously a good thing to see. So let's see if we can get into it.
In this video, we will analyze how the Ukrainians are pushing Russian infiltrators out of Kharkiv. Here, Ukrainian forces are systematically clearing Russia's border infiltrations in Kharkiv region, eliminating one assault group after another before they can establish meaningful footholds. Despite both armies suffering from manpower shortages, there are two approaches to the fighting on the international border show how drastic the difference is. Russia's objective is to create so-called buffer zones along the border, pushing Ukrainian forces further away, stretching Ukraine.
You can see on this map here, guys, specifically what direction the 3rd Operational Battalion, the artillery platoon, is fighting in. You can see Kharkiv just down there. You can see with the the red target in the middle of it and the 2 blue squares as well, or whatever you want to call them there. And then obviously a little bit to the north, as you can see, is Lipsy. So that's the direction specifically that the truck that we are responsible for raising the funds for is going to be going into, and helping the forces in that area stay safe as they travel around the front and get from position to position, or from resupply back to their frontline positions, whatever it may be, just so you guys can see for yourselves the exact area in which we're talking about. Here it is right there, just a little bit north of Kharkiv.
Reserves and bringing more Ukrainian territory within artillery range. Instead of launching major offensives, for which the Russians lack troops and equipment, Russian forces probe weak sections with groups often numbering just 2 to 5 soldiers.
And this is something we've detailed for quite some time here, that little shift in tactic that the Russians have been trying to utilize in just getting through in any way, shape, or form these 1- and 2-man units, hopefully to, again, throw up a flag somewhere, get a drone to take a picture of that so they can lie to the rest of their commanders, so the commanders can lie to the rest of the higher-ups about the amount of territory that the Russian military has taken over and currently occupies. So that's what we've seen here, and they're trying to, again, probe these different weak areas by the Ukrainians, which is not an entirely dumb move, considering we can hear and know that the Ukrainians don't really have the forces necessary, just like the Russians don't have the forces necessary to occupy and control and defend all of the territory that they seem to think that they now occupy. So I'll let this play just a couple minutes longer, and he details here about how the Ukrainians were pushing back and trying to mitigate against these infiltrations here by the Russians in this area.
They moved through forests, lightly defended roads, and villages, sometimes even wearing civilian clothing, hoping to establish positions that can later receive reinforcements. This Russian tactic exploits an unavoidable problem, as Ukraine cannot physically defend every meter of its enormous northern border during wartime. Placing infantry along every forest, field, and crossing would consume huge numbers of soldiers that are needed elsewhere on the front. Russia therefore searches for gaps for infiltrators to move quickly, as a tiny penetration can theoretically force Ukraine to react and divert even more reserves from other hot areas on the front line. However, Russia suffers from the same resource shortage it is trying to exploit. Moscow lacks enough available manpower, armor, engineering equipment, and logistics to launch a high-intensity offensive across the Kharkiv border. Its small groups may enter territory, but they struggle to hold it because once detected, they have little
Which
firepower.
again is just leading to this meat grinder effect because they're not able to get into these different positions, the amount of forces necessary to do any substantial damage themselves to take over or to enact any sort of attack on the Ukrainian positions. Basically, what they're doing is just slowly, not even really slowly, rapidly losing these forces. 90% of them not getting in. If anybody does make it through, they don't really last that fucking long. We've talked about, the average lifespan for a Russian soldier on the front, less than a fly right now. Not really a good sign. Not really something that points to the victorious military or the, somebody that seems to be having the momentum on their side as far as militarily is concerned. But yeah, they seem to be at fault and at risk of their own stupidity as far as this is concerned, where they're just rapidly throwing soldiers 1, 2, 3 at a time into the meat grinder, hopeful to at some point over a number of weeks gain a substantial number of forces in a certain area where they could provide or gain some sort of ground leverage and go after an attack. Not really something that they're seeing happen or take place very often. But, just slowly but steadily, again, just with manpower and the number of troops alone, trying to wear down the Ukrainian forces. But it seems to be that the Ukrainian forces are doing very well at, defending against these little attacks, stopping and plugging the holes while not giving up vast amounts of territory and also taking a huge toll on the Russians in this sector.
And no reinforcements. The Russian command is essentially hoping that Ukrainian forces will react slowly, but increasingly their hopes are fruitless. The two sides have therefore approached their manpower limitations differently. Russia continues sending small groups through gaps at ineffective intensity. Ukraine, meanwhile, does not attempt to fill every gap with soldiers. Instead, reconnaissance drones continuously observe roads, forests, settlements, and border approaches.
Again, taking away the necessity for, a manned unit or somebody specifically or physically to be in that area. Again, the numerical ability for them to put up all of these drones is going, again, to hamper the Russian efforts to try to get around these or get into these different, cracks in the lines, if you will. Excuse me, but it's rapidly becoming more and more difficult, and it's going to continue to do so the closer they get to the fortress belt cities as well. So it's good to see that the area of Kharkiv at least is seeing the Ukrainians start to not only utilize these different tactics, but also see the effect of the benefit of the increased drone supply to stop and to mitigate against these different encroachments by the Russian military in this area. Just to let it go for another minute to see if it details them pushing back at all and actually taking back any territory, or if it's, again, just their effective defenses in the area.
Once infiltrators are detected, FPV drones, bomber drones, artillery, and assault teams engage them, with Ukrainian quick response units ready to deploy across a much wider front, holding the entire border with far fewer men successfully. Ukraine has effectively replaced a continuous physical defensive line with a surveillance and strike network. As a result, even though Russia exploits empty space, Ukraine makes it an observable kill zone. The recent Russian infiltration attempts near Kozacha-Lopan demonstrated this approach clearly, as several Russian groups of 2 or 3 soldiers each crossed the border using the main road. Ukrainian drone surveillance located them almost immediately, after which assault troops from the Ukrainian Skala assault unit planned the clearing mission carefully and moved in toward the breach on ATV on the next day. Artillery first struck Russian hideouts before Ukrainian operators advanced on foot, clearing the survivors and pushing them directly back toward the border. Ukrainian reinforcements then secured the area, while octocopters and FPV drones subsequently attacked the Russian forces supporting the infiltration.
Well, it's quite literally the meat grinder in action, right? That's what you're watching here. This is what you're detailing. This is the Ukrainians' effectiveness at making it the hardest inches that this Russian military has to go through to try to gain. Every inch of territory is being fought over, whether it's by drones or physical, men in that area. And again, the more drones that they're able to throw up in the sky, the more territory that they're able to, reconnoiter, the more that they're able to visually watch and to turn into kill zones, as you just heard through, by this video is definitely a good thing to see. Obviously, there's areas that we still need to watch out for. There's areas that we still need to keep an eye on, and there's things that, definitely aren't going in the correct direction as well. But overall, I'd say on the majority of this, if to put together a list of all the data points and data sets related to this war, I'd say that the momentum is clearly on the side of the Ukrainians as far as the pressure being put upon the broader basis of the Russian military between Crimea, down in Kherson, obviously the Russian fuel and oil supply, which we've detailed time and time again, show after show after show, or again, their ability to send these Russians through the meat grinder if they do in fact want to take over any territory, or if they do in fact take over any territory, they're paying the highest price possible that the Ukrainians can make them pay for that. And so, we continue to detail what's going on the front lines. Very much appreciate you guys sticking around to the end of the show. Unfortunately, we're run out of time. Again, another fantastic show here at the Blunt Politics Podcast. I'm biased, though. Let me know what you guys think in the chat. I'm always up for suggestions and what you think we could change, what we could improve upon, what you think we do well and want to keep the same. So again, thank you to everybody contributing to the show. Let's see if we can check out some contributions that people made. Like I said, at the end of every single show, we go through every single person that sent in a contribution, hit a milestone or anything like that. It's probably the most important part of the show is me thanking you guys, showing my appreciation. First on today, I want to say thank you to Kyle for the PayPal. Very much appreciated for everything that you've been responsible for, all of your suggestions with equipment, all of your help with different things pertaining to the show. It's been absolutely a pleasure to have you affiliated with this community, as well as so many others, pretty much every single one of you guys as well. So thank you so much to Kyle. W's Kyle in the chat. Let's see if there's anybody else that was nice enough today to send over a buck or two from the couch cushions, as I always joke about. Thank you so much to Bry Guy. Brian H., as always, throwing in another contribution on Venmo, says, was refinishing floors, and when the brush cleaner stopped, goddamn, if your voice popped through, Slava Ukraine, did your Help 99 project get over the finish line? It absolutely did, Bry. It absolutely did. Very happy to be able to report that we did make it to 101% of our Help 99 69 Sniffering Brigade campaign goal, raised over 20,500 euro in just about 3 weeks. Which is fantastic, an incredible achievement. So thank you, Bry Guy, for asking about that. Thank you to I'll say, okay, is that supposed to be? I'll say Marty. How about that? Thank you so much to Marty. My apologies. Took me by surprise on that one. But he says, safe travels, new nickname from Mr. Marty. Oh, that's great. That works. And thank you so much for your very substantial contribution on Venmo. I really do appreciate that, Marty. Thank you so much for being here, not only being here, but supporting the channel, and not just supporting the channel, but being a fantastic member of the community. Thank you so much to, over the last couple of days, Nance. Thank you to Jeff and Roxanne as well. Thank you to Damon very much for everything that you've done for this channel. Brian twice from the other day. Thank you to Allison, Yakov. Hope Yakov's doing well. I know he's having some back problems, but hope he's doing well. If there's anything we can do for you to make you more comfortable, let us know. Thank you to Jenny Faye and Corey for everything that you've done for this channel. Thank you to Mike Z. For everything that you've done for this channel. Jim as well in the chat. You've been fantastic, a very valued member of this community. All of you guys that are supporting us in our endeavors and everything that we're passionate about, whether it's moms in the chat. Geneva has been fantastic to our show. Sarah G, Erica B, Roger C. I feel like I'm rapping now. Ricky, thank you so much. All of you guys. It's fantastic to see you guys reach out and support a community like this. It continues to give me a reason to get up every single morning and to sift through the news and everything that's been taking place to bring you guys the insights and my opinions. And it's with you guys and your help and your support of this channel that we're able to be past 20,000 subscribers and on our way to 25,000 subscribers. What do you say we jump over here to the YouTube side of things and thank everybody over here now that I got this fixed. First on the list today is Abby. Abby, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for everything that you do for this channel, for the 100 Swedish krona, almost every single show. It means the world to me. It really, really does. She says, who the hell put me in the Twilight Zone? Well, we've been there for quite some time. So hopefully we're closer to getting out of the Twilight Zone than we are to getting into it. Let's just hope. But thank you so much, Abby, for everything that you've done for this channel. Again, from the bottom of my heart, a lot of respect, a lot of love to everybody making this channel and making this show possible. Thank you so much to Rachel. Much appreciated for you getting us, connected with all of these different fabulous people that we have on the show and all of the different, campaigns that we try to uplift here. Thank you so much for your $20 contribution. Shameless plug, if you're in Western Mass and Northern Connecticut and want to do something awesome Saturday morning, come to the Jerome Whalen for Congress Buy Gas Canvas in Springfield at 180 Cooley Street at 10 a.m. Tell them I sent you. Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for keeping us involved, letting us know about that. And again, anybody in the area there getting out for a nice Saturday and wants to get involved, Rachel has just the place for you. So, Rachel, big salute to you. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for this channel. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day right up behind you. Oh, that shouldn't have worded it that way. But next up, after Rachel, I should say, is Brian. Thank you so much to Brian H. again. The stupidity that any nuclear strike anywhere is warranted. I'm sick of buttholes. Seems like someone didn't look under the hood of that aircraft. Right. So, in all accounts, I think we're talking about Kyle Shitby and Donald Trump's ridiculous Qatari jet all in one comment there. So, Bry guy, much appreciated as always. Thank you so much for the $5 gift. These are all going to be put towards at some point, bettering this platform, bettering this channel. Thank you guys so much. And like I say, as always, thank you to everybody utilizing any platform, any medium that you can and have been doing to contribute to this channel. It means the world to me. So thank you, Bry guy. Right up after you is Rachel again. You guys are fighting. You guys are vying for the spot today. Thank you for the $2 contribution, Rach. Says ages and everything. Look at the mass Senate debate. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm right there with you. And thank you so much for, again, supporting this channel, uplifting this community as you always do. Thank you to No Money G to help with the no green juice ads. Yeah, I think you know what I'm talking about. I don't think anybody's unaware of what I mean by that, because there's a shitload of different shit being sold to you and crammed down your throat. All of these different platforms tell you that they're independent and ask you to contribute to this, that, or the other thing. So I know you guys are spread thin. I absolutely know you guys are spread thin. It's just why it's so heartwarming, and I find it so really grateful. Why I'm so grateful that you guys continue to contribute to this show, where there's so many other options, so many other channels and people that you could be watching out there, but you continuously come back to watch this show, and it means the world. So No Money G, thank you so much. Rachel's back at it again. Ed will be 80 on Saturday, but he's still got it, says Rachel. Much appreciated for the $2 contribution. The old marquee there. Thank you, Rach. Thank you to Carol as well. The answer for the swap is simple. He clogged the water closet. Oh, you think he shitta? You think he clogged the shitta, maybe? Having a little overflow problem, as it were, on the Qatari jet. Oh, man. Apparently, he can't flush gold toilet paper. But thank you so much, Carol, for the $5 contribution. Much appreciated. Thank you to Colleen, Sarah. Let's go. In my opinion, journalists should travel on a separate plane for their safety. Also, Trump would freak out having no one to humiliate. That's a good point, though. That's a good point. With all the crazy rhetoric that Donald Trump espouses, all of the threats that he poses to different countries, all of the bashing and demeaning and degrading to our allies, it's kind of, and Trump says it himself. He told the press that they're on a dangerous flight. Maybe that's why they told you to close the curtains. It's like, at that point in time, I might want to keep my distance. If we're at the point where, the $400 million plus $1 billion Renault Qatari jet isn't safe enough to travel on, then maybe I'll take another plane. Maybe you can stick me on the helicopter. Is there an Apache somewhere in the background I could jump on? Throw me on that one. But I understand the sentiment. I definitely, I'd be second guessing myself getting on that plane if I was part of the gaggle as well. But thank you so much, Colleen. Thank you so much to David Weiss. Great to see you, my friend. Thank you for being a member for 14 months. Very valued member of the community, as always. And then throwing in $2 on top of it. Let's go, D, man. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you to Ruben. Great to see you, my friend. Slava Ukraini, safe travels. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated. Be sure to stay tuned so you guys can keep updated as to my progress along the way. Ruben, as always, great to see you, my friend. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And then last but not least today, only fitting that we rounded out with Rachel. Thank you for the $2 contribution. Pronounced Jeremy and Big Ass. We'll get you. Well, we'll get you, B. Oh, wait. Did I mispronounce the first one? I say, nope, that's not it. Where was the first one? Well, you said was it this one? But hold on. How do you pronounce it? Oh, Big Ass. Okay. I thought it was by gas. My apologies. But thank you so much for the correction. Sorry. I haven't seen that term used in a while. But all right, big shout out to you guys. Thank you so much for the support and the love and the appreciation that you guys show to the show. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out if you haven't done so already. Subscribe to the channel. Again, if not because you like watching the live stream, but so you can keep up to date on all of our travels coming up to deliver this vehicle that you guys are responsible for to the 3rd Operational Battalion Artillery Platoon in Kyiv, and maybe even getting to travel even further east to give you guys the realities of the situation, speak to the people that are living underneath the thumb and the brutality of the Russian military still after this long. And yeah, it's just, again, I continue to say it's an honor and a privilege to be able to represent you guys and do this on behalf of this community. So big shout out to you guys. Big salute. And I will see you guys. What's today? Thursday. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Friday show, 2 p.m. here on the East Coast. That's 11 a.m. on the West Coast. Wherever you live in between, you guys can figure it out. It's somewhere in between those two times. So again, my name's Brian. This is the Blunt Politics Podcast, the little political podcast that could, trying to get to 25,000 subscribers as we sift through the bullshit, the propaganda, the lies of the mainstream media, Donald Trump and the Republican Party in general. And I need you guys to get loud, stay loud, get proud, get aggressive. Don't hold back. Make sure that people know what side of history you stand on, where you want to land, what type of policies you want to see enacted, who you hate, who you despise. Fuck ICE, Chinga La Migra. As always, FDT, Slava Ukraine, fuck Vladimir Putin, all of the good things. Oh, thank you. Hold on. Somebody just sent in a Venmo. Oh, my goodness. Suzanne, thank you so much. Sent in a $50 Venmo there at the last second. Have a safe journey. Thanks. Thank you for all that you do, M2M. Oh, my goodness. Thank you so friggin' much. Love that. Love that. Love that. The support that you guys show is just absolutely phenomenal. Thank you guys so incredibly much for supporting and uplifting this channel where, again, like I said, you guys have so many options out there, so many people trying to do this in this space. And I can't thank you guys enough for sharing some time and spending some time here with me at Blunt Politics. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you to the mods. As always, I've been very blessed for having the most fantastic mods associated and affiliated with this channel. So make sure you send some love to the mods there for everything that they do. Thank you to everybody on Facebook. Thank you to everybody on YouTube. Thank you to everybody on Twitch, Instagram, and Substack. Again, no charging for the Substack, no content hidden behind a paywall here. If you find some value in the show and you can kick up $1 or $2, that would be fantastic to try to keep the lights on here. Much appreciated. And like I said, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Get out in the streets, get out of your seats. You're not loud enough. We're not proud enough. We're definitely not pissed off enough in this fucking country right now. So we'll talk about it more tomorrow. Thank you guys. My name is Brian. This has been the Blunt Politics Podcast. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out, as always. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys. I don't know specifically, Jim. I would assume not. The operational lifespan of these vehicles is not very long. It would be fantastic to see that it was still in operation, and maybe I can get an update on our convoy coming up. That'd be something that I'd be pretty interested to see too. So great question, Jim. Great question. Thank you, Pops. Great to see you, brother. Thank you for the support. Thank you for everything you've done for me, this channel, this community. We love you. We appreciate you.
Вітаю, Босton Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
I certainly will, Rachel. I certainly will. And yes, Deb, I'm absolutely trying to set up, getting a chance to speak with Philip, if not on camera, just to make sure that he's all right and knows that we support him. But yeah, hopefully I have enough time to be able to do all of that as well. Make sure everybody's checking out Philip's channel as well, whether it's On the Edge or at Philip Ittner, or is it at Ittner Philip, I believe it is. Definitely check out his work as well. Friend of the show, living in Ukraine, living in Kyiv, under the Bod Boston. What's up, Adam? Better late than never, brother. Great to see you, my friend. Great to see you. Don't worry about it. You can always catch it from the beginning. Always good to see you, no matter what.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. JC, POC.
Islamic Republic of Japan.
Out to officially name the undisputed. When did this come out? Somebody said, "Is that a Trump statement or is that real?" We're inviting Americans from all across the country to come.
Here's a thought: grow a sack, fill it with some balls.
It's a new form of vicious violation to our country.
For president. Seriously, how do you lie to the FBI and now you're running for president?
Our army manned the air. It ran the ramparts. It took over the airports. It did everything it had to do. Wrong.
Where you going? Nowhere.
What uranium is, right? This thing called nuclear weapons and other things, like lots of things are done with uranium, including some bad things.
It feels so lovely to be here tonight. What a beautiful out. Give yourselves a round of applause. You're so lovely. Everyone's so lovely. I'm just
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
Get those lights on! Off! Turn them off! They're too bright! Turn them off! Call them dumps. Big, massive dumps.
Yesterday's a hard word for me. They're just getting acclimated. You know what that means, acclimated? The big, fat, sloppy United States.